I can't believe this is happening.
Tell me what the fuck you meant by this, Comey. What is this 8647 bullshit on the beach? You think you're being clever? Explain it now.
Sorry.
Tell me what the fuck you meant by this, Comey? Huh? 8647 made out of fucking seashells. What is this? Are you threatening me? You think this is funny? This is incitement.
The 8 and 6 meant my favorite age of woman. The 47 was how many times I cheated on my wife. Sorry for the misunderstanding, Trump. I'm sorry, man. Please.
Why'd you want to kill me? You're going to prison for a long time, you little rat.
I don't know. Please.
Let's try this again. Take this.
You thought you could get away with it?
Can't get away with nothing.
Ah!
How's that feel? That's what you get.
Stop! Stop! You're finished! No!
What's wrong with my camera? What's up, everybody? How's it going? Great to see everybody. Sorry about the misunderstanding about what time I was going to start. I didn't think I was going to get a raid from Rob, so I had it scheduled for 8. And then I saw he raided in, so I was like, oh, crap, I got to start right now. So that's what I did, to jump right in to grab everybody and say, hey, how's it going? I'm Jim, and I'm here to tell you some news. You might get hit for violence. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. What's up, everybody? How's it going? We got some very good stories tonight. We got, the thing about Savannah Hernandez's attackers were federally indicted. Disney is under fire from the FCC now because of that, widow joke. Yeah. We have a big pro-life win at SCOTUS. It was unanimous, shutting down this improper and basically unconstitutional violation of the First Amendment by New Jersey's demon rat attorney general, trying to pry into who is supporting and paying for these, who is contributing to, to crisis pregnancy centers where women that are in crisis can go there and get like help and stuff, and instead of just running, for abortions. And also, Mexican government officials were indicted. All right, indicted. It says there's actually 267 people watching. So Disney is under pressure. Yeah. So people indicted, Mexican officials indicted for smuggling drugs into the United States. I want to thank everybody who's here. Pat Hacker, Brian, how you doing? Great to see you. Thanks for being here, buddy. Muffin Rando, awesome to see you. Jay Schwartz, Lady Bama, what's up? Yeah. Who else we got here? Kofi, awesome to see you. Mr. Dan, the other Gagax, awesome seeing you here too. None of your business. Wheezy Bob, Charvan, Sobertech. Yes, Anne-Marie, you're early. Hoselian, yeah, I take off the ads. Okay, I got it. Sorry. It was a last minute thing here. Let me do it right now. I'll take the ads off of YouTube. I totally forgot. Let me get this corrected here. Save. Takes a second. All right. All right. So I figured I would jump right in here and get things crack-a-lacking with the show. Was that a good video there of Comey? So let's, sorry about that. Let me, good evening, mods and friends. Yes, so let me get right into this first news story here. Let's just get right into this one. This is the most important one. Oh, but crap, I almost didn't do this. Huh. I almost didn't do this. Let me do this. Do this. I have to do the, it said 8. I know it said 8, but because I didn't think I was going to catch a raid from Rob, but I did catch the raid, so I started it. He must have got it in, like right as I was scheduling everything, he got it in. So I really appreciate it, Rob. Thank you, everybody who came over from Watching the Watchers. The way the show works, if you haven't been here before, is we have a goal every night. And for every $100 in total that comes in across all platforms, which is YouTube Super Chats, Rumble Rants, becoming a member or gifting memberships on YouTube or Rumble, also PayPal, Cash App, Coffee, Ko-Fi, and Super Tips are all pinned in the chat. And also there'll be some QR codes. Right now it's a PayPal one. And then I could change it to a Cash App one for a QR code. But when we hit 100, we add an extra hour to the show. And then for each additional $100, we add an additional 1 hour to the show. And when we hit 50, we activate Bellavision, which there's Bella. Man, what's she doing? She's just relaxing today. I'm surprised that she's so relaxed considering how early it is. She's not used to it. Look at her. Oh, she got her bed all cockeyed and everything. I'll have to fix that in a minute here. Have to correct this situation here. That's better. Now she's not so cockeyed. Let me get this. There we go. There she is, just chilling the Bella out there. And so, yeah, when we hit 50, we activate Bellavision for the evening. Unless somebody is so generous, if an individual person gives $25 or greater, any individual person, if I see $25, it doesn't have to be 25 all at once. It could be aggregate. When I see $25, I automatically activate Bellavision for the evening. Let me do this I totally forgot I have to start a goal over here on YouTube. I totally forgot to do that. So 20 super chats of $5 or higher for 2 hours. That explains everything for anybody who's watching on YouTube. They can see it and know what they got to do. There we go. Good to go. All started, and away we go. That creep Brian Shapiro is going to be upset. He could be. I was so happy to hear that Mexican politicians are being held accountable for the fentanyl war. Oh, you ain't kidding. It's good. It's good. It's good stuff. Anne Marie says, I love Pepsi. I like Pepsi too. I also like Coke, but you know, sometimes it just bothers my nose. But I don't do drugs. Just say no to drugs. Anyway, all right. Here we go. Anyway, oh wait, I did have some donations come in earlier tonight. Let me look and see. They came in before the show started. So let me do that before I forget. Yes. So we did actually hit Bellavision for the evening because thanks to Brian Ogden donated $25 on PayPal. So we do get Bellavision for the evening. So that means we are automatically just now $75 away from adding a first additional hour to the show. And Bellavision stays on all night thanks to Brian Ogden. Thank you so much, Brian Ogden. Geez, you start working with Nick? No, I'm just messing around. I do love telling people I thought you said no one is above the law. Oh, yeah, it is, right? It is. No one's above the law. So here's another case of no one's above the law right here. Okay. Turns out that Chris Page and Diana Ostroyko will all be facing federal charges for assaulting me. It was initially reported that only 2 out of the 3 would be facing the charges. However, Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche has announced that all 3 were indicted and facing charges. Thank you to DOJ and FBI for doing everything you can to ensure that justice is fully served in this case. I am incredibly grateful to see our justice system at work. Yes, all 3 of these people, remember? Look at them all. Look at them all. And this one person I think might be facing hate crime charges. Yes, no Coke, Pepsi, cheeseburger, 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 cheeseburger. No fries, chips. No fries, chips. Cheeseburger, cheeseburger, cheeseburger. That is from the Billy Goat Tavern, who actually, believe it or not the greatest cheeseburger in the world, but a decent cheeseburger. If you ever have a chance in Chicago and you head over to the Billy Goat, you know, they actually serve the burgers on a Kaiser roll, which if you don't know what it is, that's like a thick, like a very firm bun. It's like a German Kaiser roll. It's cut in half, and so it's like a very interesting. Like I would never recommend getting a single cheeseburger on it. Get like at least a double. Double cheese, double cheese, double cheese. Mm-hmm. Yeah. After woke right, bitch. She's saying thank you now, but before she was yelling remove Trump. Savannah Hernandez? I don't think Savannah Hernandez ever said that. Did she? I don't. It's under the rail station. Yeah, there's someone. That's SNL. Yes, it is. The restaurant Ford's Garage. Well, Ford's Garage is in Florida, and I think there's Ford's Garage everywhere else. But you know, cheeseburger, cheeseburger, cheeseburger. That's the Billy Goat Tavern, which there's a whole thing. You could go. There's a whole thing about the Billy Goat and stuff like that. So I don't know. So today, Christopher, Deanna, and Paige were indicted by a federal grand jury for assaulting journalist and Turning Point USA contributor Savannah Hernandez. So I'm saying, Savannah Hernandez, I don't think ever. She did along with Crack. Are you sure this one did? You're not thinking of the other one? There's another one. I'm trying to think of her name. It's a different one. I don't know. I've never, if someone gives it to me, I'll pull it up. I've never heard her say anything. ATF issued some firearm rules today too. Did they really? I didn't see any of those. So yeah, Hernandez was surrounded and physically assaulted, shoved to the ground while they were Sarah. I think she's thinking of Sarah. Yeah, that's a Sarah, the other broad, Sarah that worked for not for Turning Point, but worked for the Blaze. Sarah something or other. Sarah Fernandez, maybe not Savannah Hernandez. Maybe it's Sarah Fernandez. I don't know. So these despicable actions will not be tolerated in America. Mm-hmm. Yes, Andy No, who's been a victim of all these things, says thank you so much. Thank you for your swift action. Yes. And there was also one thing real quick before we jump into the story. There was also one right here. So Cash Patel says, confirming today 3 individuals have been indicted on charges of assaulting TPUSA reporter Savannah Hernandez. Yeah, I think it's Sarah Gonzalez. Sarah Gonzalez, is that it? She's like a extremely light-skinned Hispanic woman. ATF relaxed some firearms rules today. Good for the 2A. Oh, okay. Okay, I'll have to look into that. So yeah, the recent videos of people assaulting her, the FBI immediately engaged and led the investigation. So I don't know. We've seen the videos, right? I mean, we don't. This girl you're talking about, Sarah Gonzalez, is this the one you're talking about that said nasty stuff? Because I think this is who you're talking about, Sarah Gonzalez. This one. Yeah. Blaze TV, Family Product. I'm pretty sure this is the one with, that you're talking about. But anyway, so here we go. All right. 3 people indicted on federal charges connected to the attack on Turning Point USA. Savannah Guthrie was in the news again today, connected with the DC guy, you think? Three people have been indicted on federal charges related to an attack on the TPUSA reporter Savannah Hernandez. I am extremely grateful that the DOJ and FBI for how swiftly they handled this case. I've been assaulted by violent left-wing extremists multiple times, and there has never been a response. Nobody's done nothing. It looked like assault to me, curious as to the federal charges. The mother made remarks to her about her race right before the attack. So that makes it a racial hate crime. She said, "What race are you? What race are you?" before attacking her and hitting her. So that makes it a racial hate crime. Them's the rules. Them's the rules. I didn't make the rules. Personally, I think it's all BS, but, that's it. There's also could be other charges because they interfered with her First Amendment rights, correct? It's there's conspiracy against rights, stuff like that. Hey, what's up, Denisha? How you doing? Great to see you tonight. Yeah, I made the father attack. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, it's the whole thing could be rolled into like this coordinated conspiracy against her rights, a racial hate crime. Yeah, so I think that's what it is. And I agree. Hate crime should be unconstitutional. I agree. But until they are ruled unconstitutional and they're going to use it, and they're going to use them against people, then whatever. Pretty sure you're defending Swalwell? Why would I be defending Swalwell? What does this have to do with Eric Swalwell? You're confusing me, Gino Matter. Christopher, Diana, and Paige Oistroko were indicted by a grand jury for allegedly assaulting journalist contributor while she was lawfully reporting on anti-ICE protests. So I don't know if they charged them as a hate crime or not. I mean, that's what I thought they were going to do. Maybe there was a conspiracy to target her for attack. I mean, that's it. That's the thing I think they might be going with, that they're violating her First Amendment rights by attacking her. So I'd like to see the charging documents, but I don't have them. I don't have access to them. Oh, a joke. You're not defending hate crimes. So, okay, yeah, I'm not defending hate crimes. I'm not defending hate crime legislation. I think it shouldn't matter what in someone's mind, the reason they did something really shouldn't matter. If they hurt somebody, they should go to jail for hurting someone. It shouldn't be different depending on the person's race that's attacked. That's all. Hernandez was surrounded, physically assaulted, shoved to the ground simply because she was identified by the defendants as a conservative journalist. That's not peaceful protest. These deplorable actions as charged in the indictment will not be tolerated in America. Oh, yeah, look at this. Screaming people. Yeah. Not defending crime at all. Crime is crime. Yeah, no, I'm saying. Like, I don't think there should be this special carve-out, like hate crimes. I don't. Where it's like, oh, my God, it's this. So now it's a Fed crime. You're going to go to jail, too. It's like, I don't agree. I don't think it should matter. If the crime is the crime, do the crime, do the time, and shouldn't have special things just because of the race or gender or whatever of the person. I don't. Oh, I meant the legislation. You were accused of defending Swalwell while covering the allegations. Oh, no. I always am going to call out what I think I don't, like, where I see it's like, wait a minute, this doesn't sound right to me. That's all. If I think something doesn't sound right, I'm going to say it. That's all. Yeah. Golden rule, common law, all crime is a hate crime. Correct. All crime are hate crime because you clearly hated something. Like, I don't know. I mean, I guess you don't have to hate somebody to hurt them, but generally speaking, unless there's only so many reasons that someone would hurt someone. She was brutally assaulted earlier this month at the Whipple ICE facility in Mini, Somalia. The anti-ICE protesters organized a national F-ICE day in major cities across the country. We don't make the rules. We are just forced to follow them. Yeah, that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Until they change the rules, like this whole thing that happened, we're going to get into it. It's I didn't really put it in the title because other people were covering it, but I'm going to cover it and talk about the Supreme Court case about the redistricting. And, oh, buddy, Oh, buddy, Democrats, you might have just bit off a little more than you could chew screwing around. Like, I think this ruling also might pose a problem for all these other states that did these crazy connected things, even though they didn't redistrict for racial reasons per se. They could get an argument with that. There's still a rule that districts have to be compact. They have to be compact in an area. And like they did in Illinois and in Virginia and all these places where we're trying to run them out, like out of a urban area and run them out into the rural areas, I think those could be challenged on compactness issues. That they're, according to the Voting Rights Act, they have to be compact districts. Just saying, I think they might have an issue. So, anti-ICE protesters lined the fence, far left protesters held signs. ICE has no place here, F ICE, dementia, yeah, whatever. So, Savannah was reporting live from the building when she was physically assaulted by the leftists. A leftist began punching her and knocked her to the ground. All this because I was standing on a public street. So here's the... What is this? Why can't I hear it? No sound? Why is there no sound? What is going on? Hold on a second. Was there sound in other stuff I heard? Oh, I guess I got to watch it on X to get sound. No sound. Why is there no sound? I guess there's no sound. There she is getting attacked. I guess there's no sound. I don't know. Here's where the mother, what race are you? Whatever, hitting her and attacking her. And yeah, so. Yeah, I mean, that's just, these, whoever, I don't know why. I'm hoping it's not, I'm hoping that's not going to be a theme running through this evening, that I'm going to have issues with sound. And the post-millennial, who said that compact? It says so in the Voting Rights Act and the Supreme Court previous things that the districts have to be compact. They can't be these like crazy districts. So, yes. D Humble said, thanks, Brian. It says Brian gifted another membership, and then Brian gifted another membership. Seriously, Brian, you're gifted memberships over here? It says D Humboldt received a membership, and Jeff O'Malley received a gifted membership from Brian. Gifted membership. Thank you so much, Brian. That means we are now just $63 away from adding an additional hour to the show. Thank you so much for your generous support. So this says 3 indicted. There's Savannah Hernandez. That's the dad. They ran around on these people did a whole like media tour running around different places. So I think that might also be a problem for them because they said some things that might be able to be used against them. The incident happened May 11th, right? April 11th, I'm sorry. Hernandez repeatedly shouted, "Stop touching me." Shows her being pushed by an unidentified man as she attempted to leave. "Leave me, I'm trying to leave." Following the incident, she posted on X she sustained minor injuries. Thanks, Jim, but making people live near each other? Ha. Well, no, the people, that's the thing. The people in a congressional district are supposed to have something in common. And this, again, is going to bring up the point I made about we have too many people in congressional districts. Like, they should be a lot less. Like, personally, I think 100,000 would be a good number, but like this, we have like 1 million, and we have like 10 times that amount in a district. So how is anyone going to get anything from their congressional representative when they represent 1 million people? Like, it's impossible. They can't. There's no way they could actually talk to every one of their constituents in their 2-year term. Just couldn't happen. They couldn't speak to everybody. There's no way to find out if these people had issues. So that's, in my opinion, representation. Taxation without representation. It's basically the whole reason why we didn't, why we had a revolution, was because we weren't getting representation. We were getting taxed from people. Basically, it's the same thing now. We have these people in Washington that, really, they don't have anything in common with the vast majority of people they represent. There's no way to get them to listen to you if there's an issue. So we need some changes. We need a lot more congressmen, because You should be able to pick up the phone and call your congressman with an issue. Or go in and see him. Okay, so. All right, so here's. This might actually be helpful. This is a little bit of a reporting from Savannah.
Investigation. Here exclusively to tell her story, Savannah Hernandez, TPA USA Frontlines reporter. Savannah, I was very worried about you when I saw this video. It's very scary. I was standing exactly where you were standing back in January. And these people are crazy. Why did it escalate so quickly?
Well, let's make no mistake, Laura. This escalated because they found out that I work for Turning Point USA. This isn't the first time that I have been confronted and assaulted at this point for journalism on the streets of the United States of America. But since Charlie Kirk's assassination, this is now the third time that people have come up to me after I have not been interviewing, not been engaging, but simply being on the street and filming a protest, figured out I work for Turning Point USA, and have made a point to confront me, to threaten me, to harass me, and now brutally assault me to prove a point. So that's why this escalated, Laura. I wasn't interviewing anybody. I wasn't engaging with anybody. I was, and I apologize. This is the first time I'm talking about this assault, and
all right. Look. I understand you were assaulted. I understand this, but this is a little over the top. This trying to get tears. Like, you've been doing this for years. You're constantly out there with these people. You've been assaulted before. I mean, it's just me, or is she laying it on a little thick? Just a little thick, maybe. I can't talk about it. Like, remember Laura Logan, the girl, the lady who was, I believe she worked for CBS or somewhere, and she was over during the, I want to say it was the revolution in Egypt or something. It was like the Green Revolution or something. She actually was like violated, she was raped, like by a bunch of people, and I never heard her break down in tears talking about it. That's all. That's all I'll say. I don't mean to offend anybody. I'm sorry.
I'm scared to report, Laura. This is my job. It's what I've been doing for the last 6 years. Yep. And I'm terrified to do my job. I can't even interview people properly on the street because I got brutally assaulted and pushed to the ground by a 250-pound man for simply going and reporting on anti-ICE activities. I made a point not to engage, Laura, because I know the left wing is violent. They assassinated Charlie Kirk last year, and now they're coming for each and every single Turning Point USA employee because they know they can get away with it because the local jurisdictions aren't going to charge them. Now, luckily, the sheriffs are planning on bringing forward charges. I hope. I did tell them I wanted to press charges. This has been elevated to both the DOJ and the DHS. They are opening an investigation as well. But I'm horrified, Laura. I'm horrified.
Well, this is the United States of America. You were just standing there. And I know exactly how you feel because they surrounded me the same exact way. And they start screaming in your ear. And, you know, you stuck around there a little longer than I did. I got in my car because I didn't want to deal with this. But this is their MO. They don't want anyone there because they don't want anyone knowing the truth about how many of them are paid, how this is organized, who's funding it, and what they are really all about. They don't want anyone to know. If they were proud of their movement, they'd be like, welcome, you know, we'll be happy to talk to you. But they don't want that.
Absolutely, Laura. And this attack was so horrific that you now have the radical left-wing streamers and left-wing activists coming out and denouncing this attack, saying, oh, we shouldn't touch women. That's probably a bridge too far. But again, you know, I was targeted because I work for Turning Point USA, because I'm a brown woman who thinks the wrong thing, because I am a Christian. They were mocking me for my religion. They were mocking me for my political views. They, like I said, they told me that I had no right to be on a public street, and they made sure to run me out and brutally assault me multiple times as I was trying to leave. So that's the United States of America in 2026. And my main question is, how was this allowed to happen in President Trump's America? So,
well, the Hennepin County Sheriff's Office better do its job here, because if there was a message from on high, this will not be tolerated, then it wouldn't have been tolerated. And the feeling here is that it's okay to do this. And that's the problem. Let's bring in Tom Homan, who is the border czar, is going to join this conversation. We're going to have him separate segment. But, Tom, this is insane. I saw it firsthand when I was in Minneapolis. These people are terrifying to young women. She's 5'4", and she's lucky she wasn't hurt worse.
She could have been hurt a lot worse. She could have got. I mean, she could have got hurt a lot worse. Let's be real. She could have. I mean, maybe she is really scared. Maybe she realized, what could have happened, and it's going through her head, realizing that, I could have got stomped on the head, like that other video we watched yesterday, that girl getting stomped on the head. That could have happened to her. There was enough people there. She could have got just trampled by a crowd of people. If you're ever in a very large crowd of people and things are moving and you're on the ground, you get stepped on. People die like that all the time. Get in a crowd, they get trampled. So, I mean, it is possible. What about Cam Higbee? Yeah, he was assaulted. Cam Higbee. So wasn't he the one that they chased and threw stuff in his car and then tried to drag him out of his car, smashed the windows and everything? Like, any of these people that do this, that anybody who does this to people out there in public, there should be repercussions. Kate Bennett has 3 bodyguards. Not know how she kept the glasses on. I don't know.
Look, my heart goes out, and this shouldn't happen in the United States. But what feeds all this? Mayors and governors and members of Congress who want to vilify Republicans. They want to vilify President Trump. They want to vilify Turning Point USA because they have conservative beliefs. I mean, they attack journalists. Well, they also attack sworn law enforcement officers. We're living in a country now where an ICE officer gets attacked daily. These protests, these attacks not only happen where Sarah was, it also happened in Los Angeles, Portland, Chicago. Yeah. It's an ongoing dilemma, and that's why I'm grateful the FBI is stepping in. DOJ is going to seek prosecution on this, because at this point, I don't trust any local jury in a sanctuary jurisdiction. I'd much rather see the feds pick it up and charge it with a federal crime, because the sentence is going to be a lot more stringent, and it sends a strong message.
Hey, what's up, Lurchlinger? How you doing? Thanks for being here.
Keep prosecuting these people. 18 U.S.C. 111, interference, assault, record high number of prosecutions. We got to continue down that path and hold these people accountable. We cannot accept this as a norm in the United States of America.
And Savannah, we don't want anyone injured who are at these protests, or whatever we want to call them, protests, festivals. Sometimes
I think this is from like a couple days after the attack.
They feel like festivals, depending on what the weather's like. But no one should be hurt for exercising their First Amendment rights.
Exactly. No one should be hurt.
Savannah, are you satisfied, in your view, that the FBI will be able to handle this?
I hope they do. Again, the DHS is involved as well, and I hope that, the full force of the federal government is utilized against these people to send a message to all.
Okay, well, I think they did. I think they utilized and sent the message. Yeah. Federal grand jury handed down indictments on these people, all 3 of them connected to the assault. So they did the job. YouTube is acting weird. It is acting weird, man. I don't know what's going on with it. Hey, Just Not Souls Ginger, what's up? How you doing? Great to see you tonight. Marlene, how you doing? I was just wondering, first time I saw this video. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know when it's from, honestly. I just don't know. So it was part of this story about the indictment, so I thought maybe it was newer, like maybe in the last few days or something. So this conduct's completely unacceptable, and we're thankful Savannah's okay. Let's be a message to others. If you try something similar, we'll bring you to justice. So this is more of the video of the attack, basically, of her getting shoved by the father. Incident happened April 11th outside the Whipple building. So this is actually, honestly, for federal charges for something like this, this is pretty quick. This is 16 days, 17 days afterwards. So here's let's look at, okay, we'll look at this. We'll look at the indictment. All right. How do I do this? How do I blow this up? How do I do this? I guess I have to do this. I have to download it. Hold on. Oh, come on. My computer's taking forever. This is ridiculous. To open the place where to save these things. No. All right, let's see if I can do this. Get it to pull up. All right. All right, here we go. So, where we at here? Pull it over here. Sorry. We'll look at this real quick, and then we'll jump into the next story. Just to look at the indictment. Let's see what they're charged with. So, count 1, interference with federally protected activity. Okay, so they're charging her with violating her First Amendment. Hey, NASCAR Mo, great to see you. Yeah, I jumped in early before the notification. I did. They want a protest to be heard, but assault the very people trying to show the world. Yeah, they will. They will do that. So Bella looks like we should feel chill. Yeah, she's super chill. So it's saying they did force and willfully injure, intimidate, or interfere with, attempt to injure, intimidate, and interfere with the rights of another because she was participating in or joining benefit service privilege program, blah, 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 which did result in bodily injury. So violation of 18 U.S.C. 245 1B. I'm sure Kurt will come out and tell us how this is bullshit and this is really not a thing. So count 2, assault at the exterior boundaries of federal property. So they're going to say that this assault happened on federal property or on the boundaries of federal property, so it gives them the right to do it. He did assault and aid, count 3 assault. Page. Count 4 assault. Deanna. So all 3 of them were charged with assault. A true bill, 4-person. So all of them were charged with violating her rights and are all charged with federal assault because it happened on federal property, they're saying. Yeah, they don't want to be heard. They want to be free to burn and loot. Yeah, that's what they want to do. So that's good. Let's hope that this, I mean, I don't know about, I don't know exactly about, how confident we are that they're actually going to be convicted in mini Somalia. It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see what happens with all that. So the governor of Sinaloa in the United States is linked to trafficking charges. So the governor of Sinaloa is linked to trafficking charges in the United States. This is translated from Spanish to English, so it's a little off. So Ruben Rocamoya and 9 other active retired Mexican officials are charged with drug trafficking and illegal possession of weapons in a formal indictment that was made public in New York. We still have 253 people here. Obviously, there's a like button. Yeah, 258. Let's go. Yeah, let's get it on, man. Let's get it on. The governor of the state of Sinaloa and 9 other active or retired officials were accused of drug trafficking and illegal possession of weapons in an indictment. The charges were announced in a press release issued by federal authorities. None of the defendants were in custody. So we'll have to see if the Mexican government will turn them over. That's going to be a big test to see if Claudia Sheinbaum turns them over to us. Those named in the documents made public in federal court in Manhattan are our government or law enforcement officials in the northern state of Sinaloa, according to the indictment. Let's just say, what's stopping NGOs, global reach attacking, aiding attacks, and illegals entering the U.S. grants via federal, foreign, state government missions? The goals not questioned, while trafficking not mentioned. Yes, it's terrible. So they played an essential role in helping the Sinaloa cartel transport fentanyl, heroin, cocaine, and methamphetamine from Mexico to the United States. Now, you guys who have been long watchers of this show know that we covered the surrender of El Chapo's sons, and they brought in El Mayo, and brought him and turned him in. And now this is happening. What do you want to bet that the evidence they have against these officials are coming directly from the people who were paying them, El Chapo or El Mayo and his kids, the people that were running the Sinaloa cartel, are turning on the Mexican government officials that were working with them? I mean, I don't know if you guys remember the story of Kiki Camarena, who was the DEA agent that was killed by the Sinaloa cartel in Mexico. And then basically, it caused all the government people basically to turn on them and different things happened. But during the time in the 80s, the Mexican government was really no different than they were all in with the cartels. And it wasn't until Camarena got killed and the U.S. government decided to take the gloves off, that they decided to like, hey, we might have to, kind of try to follow some laws. So Jay Clayton, the federal prosecutor, described the Sinaloa cartel as a ruthless criminal organization that has flooded this community with dangerous drugs for decades. He emphasized the cartel and other drug trafficking organizations would not operate with such freedom and success without corrupt politicians and law enforcement officials helping them in Mexico. Following the announcement, Mexico's foreign ministry said that it had received extradition requests from the United States for several individuals on Tuesday, but offered no details. You thought it was 8 tonight? It was going to be 8 tonight. It was going to be 8, but then a raid came over. Yes. Next up, U.S. governors and government officials and law enforcement who work with cartels in the U.S. Ding, ding, ding. That needs to happen. I know of a few, and I'm looking at you, Katie Hobbs and Ruben Gallego. Yeah. And Padilla. I'm looking at you. The Foreign Ministry said that in accordance with current extradition law, the information was sent to the Attorney General's office for evaluation of the request. Yes, you got bonus time. Yes, you do. You get bonus time. That's right. The statement indicated the documentation received from the United States Embassy, which has already been reviewed by a foreign ministry, does not contain sufficient evidence to determine the responsibility of the individuals. For whom the provisional detention for extradition purposes is being requested. What information do they want? Yes, and Bella is here too. That's right. Wait a minute, we got bonus time already. Did I miss something? No, not yet. I mean, we don't have bonus time yet, but we got time. Bella's here too. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs reported that it will send the U.S. Embassy a note of concern because current treaties contain specific provisions that establish the confidentiality of information. Roca Mayoa categorically rejected the accusation against him, stating on his social media account that they lack any truth or foundation. He added that this will be demonstrated conclusively at the appropriate time. So he's going to say, nuh-uh, they're lying. And then I'm sure that El Chapo or his sons or El Mayo or some of these people are going to have documentation of proof of monies that were paid. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure they'll have that proof. Somebody kept a track record of all the money. There might even be recordings that I'm talking. Because the Sinaloa cartel was notorious for recording phone conversations with politicians to hold over their heads. Just saying. Just a saying. And this one says, 10 current and former Mexican officials accused in the U.S. of aiding and abetting drug trafficking. Bella is looking extra long. Hello, Jim and Lazy Dog. She's not lazy. She's just relaxing. Oh, look, that almost looks like Chuck Scummer, doesn't it? Could be, yeah. Sinaloa State Governor Ruben Roca waves as he takes part in the annual earthquake drill in Culiacan. I wonder if this is the same governor that was there back when a guy by the name of Gallego ran the Sinaloa cartel. Strange last name. They called him the Slim Man or the Thin Man. The governor of Sinaloa and 9 other current and former Mexican officials were charged with drug trafficking, weapons offenses, in a U.S. indictment unsealed on Wednesday. Some officials were members of Mexico's ruling party, posing a political conundrum for Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum as she seeks to offset mounting pressure from the Trump administration. Some of those politicos called the indictment a political attack on their party. U.S. federal officials announced the charges in a news release. None of the defendants were in custody, but the Mexican government said shortly afterward that it received multiple extradition requests from the U.S. without identifying those requested. The Moreno party members indicted. 10 people charged in the Manhattan court are current and former members of or law enforcement officials in Sinaloa, including Ruben Roca Mohaya, who's been governor since 2021. So no, this wouldn't be the same governor that was there during the Slim Man's time. Why are you doxing me? How am I doxing you? Is that you, Sanglan? Is that you? Charges against Moya include narcotics importation, conspiracy, and possession of machine guns and destructive devices. See, I don't understand how the U.S. government can charge somebody in another country with possession of machine guns. The U.S. does not control. guns around the world. I mean, we're not in charge of gun laws in Mexico. I don't get it. Roca was a staunch ally of former President Andrés Manuel López Obrador and his hugs, not bullets policy, which involves avoiding direct confrontation with the drug cartels. Roca's the highest profile official charged, and he categorically and completely rejects the accusations. And no, but it looks close enough to be funny. So you're saying you look like that? It's a party of perverse strategy to violate Mexico's constitutional order, specifically our national sovereignty, he wrote on X. Some of those named, according to the indictment, have themselves participated in Sinaloa's campaign of violence and retribution. The indictment alleged that they were closely aligned with the faction known as the Cartel de Sinaloa, which is run by the sons of Joaquin El Chapo Guzman. So as I said, Joaquin Guzman's sons turned themselves in a couple months back, along with the other guy that was basically El Chapo's partner, El Mayo, the guy who was like in charge of, he had like all the shrimp boats, the fishing boats. And so El Mayo, they call him El Mayo because he looked kind of white. Anyway, he ran like the boats and stuff on the Pacific side. And so they brought him on a private plane and they all surrendered about 6 months ago. El Mayo, look it up. El Mayo turned himself in. This, I think, is all because of that. I think these people are all like, oh, we'll tell you who, because government officials, especially the U.S. government, would rather go after corrupt politicians, crooked politicians, even in Mexico, than they care about drug. There's always another drug dealer to go after, but to get rid of the politicians who stay there and will work with any different drug dealers, then it kind of stops that and keeps that from going on. Authorities say they have played essential roles helping the Sinaloa cartel ship fentanyl, heroin, cocaine, methamphetamine from Mexico to the United States. Cartel Sinaloa is among 8 Latin American crime groups designated as a terrorist organization by the U.S. government. As indictment lays bare, the cartel and other drug trafficking organizations would not operate as freely or successfully without corrupt politicians and law enforcement officials on their payroll. It says Roca, who was born in the same town as El Chapo, was particularly notable because the governor was embroiled in a scandal in 2023 involving the Sinaloa cartel. His name was published in a letter written by then Sinaloa captain who was kidnapped by leaders of a rival faction of the cartel. What was that? My phone just did something weird. That's weird. In the letter, the capo said that when he was kidnapped, he believed he was on his way to meet with Roca. In the years since, the cartel's 2 warring factions have ravaged the northern Mexican state in their struggles for territorial control. Among those indicted, 3 officials, Roca, the governor, the mayor of Sinaloa's capital, and a senator, were affiliated with Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum. A number of other officials held positions unaffiliated with Mexican parties. All right. Okay. You can see I have and for those people who are interested, on the top right corner, there is a PayPal QR code if you wanted to donate through PayPal. And now here's the Cash App one, also available. They committed crimes here, so their tools of choice to perpetrate their crimes are extensions of crimes. So is that how it works? Scheduled for 8, so how am I 48 minutes behind? Because I started early, delay is obvious, because a raid came in with like over 300 people. So I was like, I better start now. Because the more eyes on the show, the more people might like it, the more people that participate, and it's not the first time the U.S. has brought drug trafficking charges against ranking Mexican officials. In 2023, Genaro Garcia Luna, the former Mexican Public Security Secretary under President Felipe Calderon, was convicted by a U.S. court and sentenced to 38 years in prison after he was accused of taking bribes from the Sinaloa cartel. He denied the allegations and is appealing his conviction. The indictment unsealed Wednesday comes after U.S. Ambassador to Mexico Ron Johnson last week said the U.S. administration would launch an anti-corruption campaign targeting Mexican officials he said were linked to organized crime. Corruption not only hinders progress, it distorts it. It increases the cost, it weakens competition, and it erodes the trust by which our markets depend. It is not a problem without victims. Sheinbaum responded Monday by saying her government has not seen any evidence of the charges of corruption. Yeah, because you're fucking corrupt too, Sheinbaum. Yeah, we all know, Sheinbaum, that you're in the pocket of the cartels. We know. We know you're getting kickbacks and money and paid. We know they backed your campaign, that you were the cartel candidate. We know. It's only a matter of time, sweetheart. You're going down too. The investigation in the United States against any person in Mexico must have evidence reviewed by the Mexican Attorney General's office. Scheinbaum said. Don't get your panties in a bunch just asking. I'm just telling. I was just answering the question. That's all. Scheinbaum's government has already detained several local officials across Mexico in its ongoing crackdown against the cartels, fueled by pressure from the Trump administration. The indictment has once again forced the Mexican leader to walk a political tightrope, says Wanda Brown, senior fellow in foreign policy at the Washington-based Brookings Institute, who's specialized in organized crime. If Scheinbaum doesn't go after Rocha, it will put strain on relations with the U.S. ahead of negotiations of a free trade agreement. The crucial U.S.-Mexican economy. It's crucial to U.S.-Mexican economies. And the analyst said if she does arrest him, it carries tremendous consequences for her politically ahead of next year's midterm elections in Mexico. If she's going to move to arrest Rocha and the other 8 indicted politicians and attempt to extradite them, this is certainly what the United States wants. Well, yeah, it's what the United States wants. Same thing in the Associated Press. Basically, same exact story, I believe. Some officials were members of Mexico's progressive ruling party, Moreno. Very progressive selling drugs. It's very progressive to sell drugs. Very progressive to sell drugs. Very, very progressive to sell drugs. All right, now we're going to jump to the next story. Anybody have any questions on that? What do we think is going to happen? Do we think they're going to extradite them? Can the U.S. put enough pressure on them to get them extradited? I mean, there's a bunch of monies. Like if they don't extradite them, what could happen is it could be a trade problem for Mexico. Could be a major trade problem. Like other monies and different stuff. Like Mexico gets a lot of aid from us. A lot. That could stop. You know, if Mexico's government screws around enough, they could be classified just like Venezuela. And Scheinbaum could end up sharing a cell with Maduro. Just saying. It could happen. What's Mexico going to do? Put some of their old super tweets up in the air to stop our stealth fighters? I don't think so. So the Supreme Court unanimously slaps down New Jersey AG's targeting of pro-life pregnancy centers. You heard that right. The Attorney General of New Jersey went after pro-life crisis pregnancy centers, trying to find out who's funding them, where their donors are. Like, what? And a 9-0 decision delivered today by Neil Gorsuch, the U.S. Supreme Court, handed pro-life warriors at First Choice Women's Resource Centers a massive victory against the radical left's latest attempt to silence and intimidate faith-based pregnancy centers. That's what they're all against. They hate religion. They hate faith. They're demons. They're literal demons. Anything to kill more babies. That's all they're all about. They could cut off all our auto parts. Sure, they could try. I mean, why are we having them all built there anyway? I mean, what are they going to do with them? Who are they going to sell them to? The court ruled that the First Choice has standing to challenge a New Jersey Attorney General Jennifer Davenport's succeeding the notorious Matt Platkin. Yeah, this is, I know, holy mackerel. Yeah, this is how bad this was. This is horrible. Subpoena demanding names, address, and phone numbers and employment details of all their donors, even though the subpoena hasn't been enforced yet in state court. Yeah, they wanted all these names, addresses, and everything. It's a devastating blow to the demon rat lawfare tactics designed to dox conservative donors and scare them away from supporting pro-life causes. The Gateway Pundit reported back in 2025 during oral arguments that Justice Clarence Thomas absolutely torched New York's Attorney General, forcing him to admit under oath that the state had zero public complaints about First Choice before launching their donor snooping phishing expedition. Nobody complained about them. That's the thing. Nobody's complained about them. They did this because Planned Parenthood asked them to. That's the only reason. Planned Parenthood is nothing but a political organization. Was there a crime? Nope. No crimes charged. No crimes charged, no complaints, no nothing. Just Planned Parenthood wanted the names of the donors. The leftists wanted the names of the donors so that they could attack the people. That's it. So that they could go after them, expose them, go say, oh, this guy gave money, he works here. So that they could, basically try to get people fired from their jobs. Cancel culture. That's why. They wanted to shame people from giving money to people that try to stop abortions. Like, what? Johnson says, hey, I'm late. Good thing it's still early. What's up? Great to see you. Can you say abortion? Well, that's what it was. Not fraud. There was no fraud. No fraud whatsoever even suggested. It's just Planned Parenthood wanted the names, addresses, and employers of all the donors so that they could do what with it? Let's see. There was another person that wanted a list like that. It was called Show Social Autopsy. It was many years ago. There was a woman who ran the site, and they wanted to get the names of all these people that did certain things to get them canceled. I'll just let that linger out there. If you guys want to Google Social Autopsy and see who used to run that and what type of person that would be, you can, We not need Planned Parenthood. No, we don't. There is no injury. There's no injury. There was no nothing. There was not even a complaint. There was never a complaint that anything was wrong with these places. That's the issue. Was it Candace? It could be. Candace Owens? It was a ploy to cancel populations. Oh, well, yeah. It was just a donor snooping fishing expedition. Thomas called out the whole charade as a burdensome way to find out whether someone has a confusing website, especially since First Choice has been crystal clear since 1985 that they are a religious nonprofit that does not provide or refer for abortions. They counsel women, support mothers, honor life from conception. But the radical AG's office didn't care. They created a phony reproductive rights strike force, blasted out consumer alerts smearing pro-life groups as misleading women and preventing access to reproductive health care. Like, they never claimed to provide it. Yeah. America First says, hello, everybody. It's not abortion. It's baby offing or snuffing. Oh, I know. Yeah. Well, that's the whole thing. Planned Parenthood was founded by Margaret Sanger, a eugenics who believed certain people should be eliminated from society. That was the mainstream Democrat Party position in the 1920s. Just saying. Kind of still is their position. They haven't changed their position. They changed the reasons why they hold the position. But that's not, their positions. The Democrats' position on getting rid of certain people from having babies hasn't changed at all. It's still the same. That should tell you something, that they've always held this position that certain people should not have kids. It's the same people that they don't want having kids. Yep. They issued a subpoena demanding 28 categories of documents, including donor info going back to January 2021, even though every method except one single web page the AG decided was safe. First Choice fought back in federal court, arguing the demand violated their First Amendment rights to free association and speech. Anonymous donors told the court they would have been less likely to donate if they knew their private information could be handed over to a hostile Democrat AG with a well-documented record of targeting pro-life organizations. Lower courts, including a divided Third Circuit, tried to kill the case, claiming no injury in fact until a state judge actually forced production. The Supreme Court just laughed at the nonsense. Judge Gorsuch's opinion for the unanimous court was crystal clear and devastating to the left's agenda. An injury in fact arises when a defendant burdens a plaintiff's constitutional rights, and a government demands for a charity's private donor information have just that effect. Such demands inevitably discourage association with groups engaged in protected First Amendment advocacy and encourage groups to cease or modify protected advocacy the government disfavors. All this occurs not just when a demand is enforced, but when it is made and for as long as it remains outstanding. Pat says that's why they provide cross-sex hormones and puberty blockers along with abortions. Brian says, I want it to be known I am pro-life and building foundation. That's good. Hey, G Shark Man, what's up, man? How you doing? So the ruling is a massive rebuke to the weaponization of government power against Christians and pro-lifers. I mean, just remember, the Biden administration was all for this. The Biden administration was targeting people for praying, kicking down doors, raiding people's houses for praying outside of a facility. You know, a father whose son got assaulted by somebody, a person assaulted the son, attacked him, and the father just intervened and stopped the guy from assaulting the son. They arrested the father because the person that was assaulting the son had some kind of protected thing because, oh, that person works for Planned Parenthood. So that person can just assault anybody they want. They have free reign. They're above the law. You see, Democrats, the demon rats, as I like to call them, there's always people that they classify as above the law. It's just never citizens who follow the law. See, if you follow the law, you should be above the law, because if you're following the law, you've broken no laws. So you shouldn't be targeted. But they don't care. Those are the people that want the law followed, people that are conscientious about the Constitution. Those are the ones they want to target, because they want everything to be like this anarcho-tyranny where they just go after people. In this resounding victory, the Supreme Court held to its long-standing precedent of recognizing that the Constitution protects the first choice and its donors from demands of a hostile state official to disclose donor identities and contact information. New Jersey's Attorney General targeted First Choice, a ministry that provides parenting classes, free ultrasound, free baby clothes, and more to its community simply because it's pro-life views. That's blatantly unconstitutional. For more than 2 years, Attorney General Platkin targeted First Choice with aggressive demands for sensitive documents, including our donors' identities. Yeah, Platkin's done a lot of shit. He's gone after people for selling guns in other states. They're like, oh, well, those guns might end up in New Jersey. Well, too bad. People have the right to keep and bear arms, so shut up. The Supreme Court recognized the government can't evade federal court review when it harasses those who support pro-life ministries just because it disagrees with their message and their mission. An official demand for private donor information is enough to discourage reasonable individuals from associating with a group. Well, this is great news. First Choice has established that the Attorney General's demand for private donor information injures the group's First Amendment associational rights. That's right. The Supreme Court ruled unanimously. Unanimously. So this was even something that the wise Latina Sotomayor couldn't argue against, something that Ketanji Brown, I don't know what a woman is, beep, Jackson. That was my best attempt at a smoke detector beep, but I should get that. And Elena, I've never been married and I've never had kids, Kagan. See, the Federalist just says, SCOTUS confirms First Amendment protects pregnancy center donors from nosy abortion states. Yeah, they're just sticking their nose in everything. So, since the 50s, this court has confronted one official demand after another, like attorney generals. Over and over, we have held that demands burden the First Amendment rights. So, I mean, they keep doing it, and they keep doing it, and they keep doing it. They keep doing it. Pat says, as a woman, I will tell you, a woman who does not want to carry a baby to term will find a way not to, no matter what the laws you make. Well, this is not anything to do. This is just a place where people could go and try to get help. People maybe that are confused, people that think they have no other choice. So that's all this is. Jim's channeling Bronca. I'm trying. All born with unalienable rights, not created by man. One's body is private property, just saying. But there's more than one body. There's more than one DNA there. That's the problem. My pets hate to chirp. Okay. So it was a 25-page decision. Okay. The investigation culminated in then Attorney General Platkin's office issuing a subpoena in an attempt to strong-arm the nonprofit into doxing its donors and forfeiting information to a state with a strong abortion activist agenda. So we're good thing that came out the way it did. Same thing here from New York Post. Supreme Court unanimously sides with New Jersey Crisis Pregnancy Center against the Dems' bid to get donor list. All right. And we got this. Supreme Court issues a landmark ruling on the Voting Rights Act. I mean, basically, we can all agree, I think, that the government, especially the state attorney general and the government, should not be trying to get donor lists for anybody, especially things that are religious. Like, do you think you think what happened to the guy that blew up the pro-life center in Palm Springs? Well, that's the thing. There's been attacks. They've been bombed. There's been all types of stuff happening to these things. So nothing was done. The Biden administration just ignored it. There was fire bombings. There was places getting burned. There was all this stuff. Nothing done. They just ignored it. They acted like it didn't happen. Oh, Pat says, I understand and agree with the pregnancy centers. Yeah, I mean, it's, they're just trying to help. It's just talking. They don't do anything. They don't ever pretend to be abortion clinics, I don't think. I think that would be against the law if they pretended to do abortions and then just kind of trick people, like brought people back and said, woo, we gave you an abortion. Don't worry. It'll go away in a few months. That would be fraud and stuff. So this is a 6-3 ruling. Justice wrote, allowing race to play any part in government decision-making is a departure from the law. This is big news, folks. This is big news going into the midterms. Like, this could actually change. Like, this could, you've all seen the maps, right, of the Northeast, Massachusetts, Maryland, Connecticut, Vermont, Rhode Island, all those states in the Northeast, and how, it's like, oh, there's no Republicans. How is this possible? When you have 40%, 45%, how is it possible? Well, because they gerrymandered all the Republicans out. Well, they had this little trick that they did when they twisted the words of the Voting Rights Act to say, like, oh, even though it says you can't use race, we want you to specifically use race. It was like Bizarro World, like it says you can't use race, you can't discriminate by race. But no, you have to discriminate by race, according to them. And that's what they did and forced on all the southern states. Demon rat presidents and attorney generals would go after states saying, oh, no, you have to do this, you have to do that. And it happened for years. Finally, it's ending. And so there's absolutely no reason why Alabama or Mississippi or Georgia or South Carolina or Tennessee or any of these states should have a single Democrat. There should be no demon rats there. They don't get crazy amounts of votes, and you can easily do it. You can easily do it in a way that's not gerrymandered. I mean, if you look at the maps that they're proposing in Florida, if you look at the maps that they're proposing in Texas, if you look at the maps that they're proposing in like Tennessee or in Georgia, in Louisiana, Alabama, Mississippi, those maps look like regular maps. They don't look crazy. They're not these crazy weird lines and stuff. But that's what they have to do in New York, in Illinois, and that they tried to do in Virginia, and that they're doing in California. They have to do these crazy gerrymandered maps that absolutely do not take compactness into account in order to make it so that they can basically disenfranchise half the population. Yeah, race is not demon rat rated. Yeah, it's not. 229 watching. Well, it was more. We've been losing them. I guess they don't like me. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. The U.S. Supreme Court, in a landmark decision on April 29th, reinterpreted a provision. Now, see, I don't think it's reinterpreting it. I think they're just interpreting it. It's not it was interpreted incorrectly by a bunch of district courts and by a bunch of appeals courts, but not the Supreme Court. This is the first time the Supreme Court's really said no race. Struck down a majority black congressional district in Louisiana. Like, the district in Louisiana was an insane district. It went all the way from the top left corner of Louisiana all the way down to it cut across the entire state. And no matter what anyone tells you, you cannot think that people that live in the bayou on the ocean, have anything to do with the people that live all the way up in the middle of nowhere in the hills. They're not the same people at all. Just because of their skin color? No. Different people. And the High Court found that Louisiana district represented by Cleo Fields relied on race when the congressional map was drawn up. Yes, because the judge that ordered them to make the map told them it had to. A judge told them it had to. The ruling was authored by Justice Samuel Alito and joined by Roberts, Thomas, Gorsuch, and Kavanaugh, and Amy Coney Barrett. Alito wrote that allowing race to play any part in government decision-making represents a departure from the constitutional rule that applies in almost every other context. Yeah, there's like specific things, like you can take race into account, I guess, for like prisons. So you can segregate people in prisons by race just to prevent like race riots and stuff like that. He had Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act is effectively limited to instances of intentional discrimination, a very high standard. Only when understood this way does Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act properly fit within Congress's 15th Amendment enforcement power. There should be black dots representing a voter and no details as to their race or party affiliation. Just count the dots. Yeah, that's it. That's why I personally think the easiest, honestly, my plan to start in the top left corner of a state and just come down with two perpendicular lines and come down until you get the number. And then you just keep going, go to the right, do the same thing, corner, come down, keep doing it, and you'll just have different size squares everywhere in the state. And that's it. And you take zero accountability of, race, voting patterns, nothing. Just, that's it. That's all. Just the number of people in the square, that's it. That's it. And then how they vote is how they vote, and that's it. I don't know how it would work, but it would be fair. That's the fairest way to do it, isn't it? Voter registration by party is not static. I have changed my registration 6 times. Best to do it by counties. Well, yeah, you can do it by counties too, but that's the thing is that if you look at all these gerrymandered states like Illinois, New York, California, Massachusetts, Maryland, they don't pay any attention to states or to counties. They'll have one county, which is their most populous county, and they will take people from that county and combine them with 4 other counties. So that way they can wipe out those 4 other counties with those people in this county. I mean, that's basically Cook County there's little slivers coming out of Cook County. It looks like this coming out, just lines coming out, it's crazy. Even in prison, it's by cell, not by housing unit, rec time, child time, school. Some prison will double cell mixed race if 2 inmates want to. Okay. So the 15th Amendment, a Reconstruction era amendment, was ratified in 1870 following the end of the Civil War. It allows Congress to pass laws ensuring that the right to vote cannot be denied on the account of race. That's the thing, nobody was denying anybody's right to vote. You were called for a jury more times as a Republican than any other affiliation. Oh. You're not registered with any party. Well, here's the like serpents, evil, definitely. Here's the problem if you're not registered in any party. I had to tell my son this because he's like, I don't want to be I said, if you're not registered in the state in Florida, if you're not registered to a party, you can't participate in the primaries. They're closed primaries. So if you register for some other party, you would only be able to participate in that party's primary if they have one. That's all. That's the only reason. It doesn't affect, if you want to, basically, until we get more parties that are mainstream with more, I would prefer to have 20 parties, but until you get where it matters, or if you're open primaries, some states have open primaries, then it doesn't really matter what party you choose because you can participate in either primary you want. And usually, I think though, you can only vote in one primary. You get to choose either the Democrat primary or Republican primary usually, or Libertarian primary if you do that. But once you choose, you can't participate in any other primary. So interpreting the Voting Rights Act, which was signed into law in 1965, outlaws a map solely because it fails to provide a sufficient number of majority-minority districts would create a right that the amendment does not protect. So this thing, they were saying you have to have somebody, it was just people that just came up with this. It wasn't the Supreme Court. It was lower courts that came up with this thing you have this number of people in your state, so you have to have this number of districts for them. They are this percentage. There's this percentage population of this color or this race of people. They have to have a district for that, which the amendment specifically barred it. And the Voting Rights Act specifically said you cannot do quotas, proportionate. There's no proportions. You can't do this. Can't vote in your state primary, dumb rule, violate our suffrage rights. Well, there's a thing that the problem is that primary elections are not ran by primary elections are run by the parties. They have to pay for them to the state. And there's but the reason that's a scam because basically the politicians allotted money to pay for the primaries for the major parties. So it's a scam, but the parties decide their primary rules, not the state. Yeah, or think like a Dem and register as a Dem and vote for the Klan candidate in the primary. Well, yeah, that's how they do. That's how they do. I read your comment and responded to it. You read Joe's comment section more than Joe does. Oh, okay. With the decision, the High Court blocked a map in Louisiana that would have given the state a second majority black district. The Supreme Court's ruling was issued amid a battle unfolding between Republican and Democrat states around the country involving the redrawing of electoral maps to change the composition of the House of Representatives ahead of the November elections. The map is unconstitutional gerrymander. Require Louisiana to create an additional majority-minority district. The ruling, there is no compelling interest that justifies Louisiana's use of race to create Fields District. The Constitution almost never permits a state to discriminate on the basis of race, and such discrimination triggers strict scrutiny. Yeah, but when a judge orders you to do it, I guess you don't have a choice. Is that strict scrutiny if a judge says you have to do it? Oh, what? Maybe Jim won't sing tonight and scare Finn. Did I scare Finn with my singing? Yeah, did you know the Klan were all Democrats? Did I scare Finn with my singing? I'm sorry. My tea just went down the wrong pipe. Florida legislators are debating a proposed redrawing of the state's lines, which was submitted this month by DeSantis. We do have the story, too. It was approved by the Florida legislature. Now it's just on to the Senate, which it should fly through the Senate to pick up as many as 4 seats. Dissenting justices describe risks. Yeah, so Kagan warned that the majority could wind down decades of civil rights-related protections. That's what Terry said last night that I scared her with my singing. If you aren't a member of the Loyal Order of Water Buffaloes, you can't vote in their elections. So why should you be able to vote in a political party election when you aren't a member? Well, that's the thing. That's the thing. That the parties run their own primaries. Yeah, when he was loud, Finn would run back under the bed. Poor big. Oh my God, I didn't even know I was singing that loud. So yeah, Sotomayor, Wise Latina, and Ketanji Brown, I don't know what a woman is, Jackson, joined the dissent. This is a racial vote dilution in its most classic form. Well, yeah, you're right. The district was a racial vote dilution, but it diluted white votes because it put white people in there with them and basically said, yeah, you got no choice. I mean, we shouldn't even know. None of this should be taken into account when figuring districts. The race, voting patterns shouldn't be results either. You shouldn't know what party people support. Like, oh, this is a concentration of this. None of that should be entered into it. It should just be, here's the size, here's the people. That's it. End of story. A minority community that's cohesive in its geography and politics alike and that faces continued adversity from racial division. Is split, cracked is the usual term. So they're saying cohesive in its geography because it's in the same state from one end of the state to the other. That's insane that she would say that. Like, have you seen some of these maps? I mean, this is these people, what they think. This is nuts. I mean, here, look, we'll pull this up just because, why not? Here are some pictures of some of the most gerrymandered states. Not my fault. Bronca has me trained to hear the smoke detector beep in my head when anyone says the name. They think an abstract idea is not reality. Yeah, so here, look. So here is, I believe this is North Carolina's Republican draw in 2012, 2014 congressional gerrymander. But look at these. You see these blue districts that are connected together like this? Like this was done so that could be a Democrat. Like if you drew this and just took these and over here and put these in these other, like this could be nothing here. You know, say, look at this too, like all this over here and this over here to get them to be a Democrat, and same thing like these districts, like those are drawn to protect the Democrats' seat. You know, and here's Illinois. Look at this. And look at Illinois. That is not supposed to be there. Look at Illinois. Look at this. Look at Chicago, all right? Look at Chicago, all right? Look at this, how these districts, you see all these districts coming out of Chicago? You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Look at them coming out. Oh, and this one comes out over this way. This one comes over the way that they do these, up, like this, up, bringing them out. This one, look at this one, comes out here, comes all the way out down here. Now then, look at this other one over here. Oh, look at this. It comes all the way over here from this, like this is Rockford. And it comes all the way around to come all the way back over here to pick up another city over here. All right. And this one that starts here, St. Louis, comes all the way up through Springfield. It comes over here. And this is Pontiac over here, where there's a big prison. I mean, that's what's going on. That's what you call gerrymandering. That is insane. YouTube censored a few of your texts. Oh, I'm sorry. Now, and here's this is what California presidential election looked like in 2020 and 2024. And California just basically, like, look at all the area in 2024 that went for President Trump. But that entire area that you see in red is basically only going to get four House seats. They were able to get rid of by doing the same thing Illinois did when they redo districts, drawing them all out into there. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy. It's just crazy what's going on. Yeah, Supreme Court declares Louisiana's newly drawn map unconstitutional racial gerrymandering. Give an ear rub from me. Yeah, cats always love ear rubs. Yeah. Florida has cattle and used to have citrus with a few people around. It was great. Now we're full. Yeah, well, the citrus got wiped out because of the Chinese. There was some Chinese fungus that all of a sudden showed up here and just killed everything. It's crazy. Supreme Court snaps down rampant race-based gerrymander. Yeah, so that's awesome. It's actually good news. Could mean a lot of good things. Could mean that a bunch of states like Florida, Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, Kentucky, Tennessee, South Carolina, North Carolina, could change. Missouri, could be some very interesting stuff. Not sure your texts were inert. I don't know, man. Sometimes they just do stuff. So we'll see what happens. Florida's moving forward. You got this story. The FCC officially places ABC and parent company Disney under investigation. Disney's broadcast license for 8 ABC-owned stations are now under federal review. Bum, bum, bum. The FCC Commission has officially placed ABC and its parent company under investigation. According to the order issued Tuesday, Disney must file license renewal applications to renew broadcast licenses for all 8 of its owned and operated television stations within 30 days. Well ahead of the normal review schedule, it would have stretched from 2028 to 2031. They now graft oranges onto the branches of lemon trees. The FCC stated it's been investigating Disney stations for possible violations of the 1934 Communications Act, including the prohibition on unlawful discrimination. Regulators say ABC has responded to prior letters by Additional actions are appropriate at this time. Found mites in citrus. No one believed that was the issue. Citrus allergic. Took photos through microscope. Oh, wow. So the letter says that the FCC has been investigating Walt Disney Company and its American Broadcasting Company subsidiaries for the compliance with its obligations as a licensed broadcaster. And so they broke the rules. They're investigating them for several possible violations of the Communications Act of 1934. Specifically, rules that whenever FCC regards an application for renewal of a license as essential to the proper conduct of investigation, FCC has the authority to call the broadcaster's license in for early renewal. Doing so allows the FCC to conduct its ongoing investigation and enables the FCC to ensure that the broadcaster has been meeting its public interest obligations. FYI, citrus was always grafted. Well, no, I know that you have to have different plants, like to get certain things to grow, you got to have like different plants next to them. Like I thought they got to have like a tangerine plant or something like that next to an orange plant to get it to grow. Like, I don't know. I know there's some weird things. You can't just have like one orange tree and get oranges. You got to have more than one. They got to, in order from them, because the fruit is actually like, I think it has to do with like reproduction type of thing. Like there might be, is there male and female orange trees? Sour orange rootstock. The FCC determines that calling in ABC's license at early renewal under the Communications Act public interest standard is essential within the meaning of the agency regulations. That's not true? It's not true? Hey, what's up, Absinthe Miner? Great to see you. So that's not true? Really? That's not true? Hold on a second. Maybe it's a different type of maybe it's a different type of fruit I'm thinking of that you have to have multiple trees for. Grafting was intended for nuts. No mate needed for citrus fruit. Cherry trees need pollinators. So the 8 owned stations are New York, Los Angeles, Chicago, Philadelphia, Houston, San Francisco, Fresno, and Durham, North Carolina. Did you miss one, Sneaky Sean? Disney responded with the predictable corporate statement claiming ABC has a long record of compliance. The move comes hot on the heels of Trump's direct demand that Disney fire late-night host Jimmy Kimmel after his vile, classless joke targeting First Lady Melania Trump as an expectant widow. I mean, that's actually targeting the president, that the president's going to be dead. They graft oranges in Florida because the orange tree itself is susceptible to disease and pest. Kimmel's disgusting monologue crossed every line of decency. Well, yeah, I mean, it's gross. But I don't know that, like, it wasn't really, I mean, the joke was made at her expense, but it was about Trump getting killed or something, or dying. I mean, I guess he could claim that he was saying Trump would die of natural causes, but I mean, who believes that's what he thought or what he meant? I don't. I don't think that's what he meant at all. Not at all. At all. Hey, well, look at that, man. We've been going for an hour and a half already, folks. We've been going for an hour and a half, and we're still $63 away from adding an additional hour to the show. So just letting everybody know. Funny comedian would have just called him Orange Patty Hearst. Oh. And then Jimmy Kimmel couldn't keep his mouth shut. He comes out and he slams Trump again after FCC opens a review of ABC's licenses. Like, he might want to keep his mouth shut. Because at some point, ABC might go, dude, you got to shut up. You're just causing us problems. I mean, but are they just so afraid? 219 watching and only 64 likes. You're all stopping. Yeah, come on, people. I mean, there was a lot of people watching. Please, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Come on, do something. So, did he just make a joke about his death? Kimmel said, only Donald Trump would demand I be fired for making a joke about his old age and then a day later go out and make a joke about his own old age. So, whatever. That's not the joke that he was making, though. He was making a joke that someone was going to kill him. Trump said on Monday the TV host should be fired. Kimmel presented on April 23rd, a mock White House Correspondents' Dinner speech where he joked our First Lady Melania is so beautiful, she's got the glow of an expectant widow. Adam Carolla, his longtime friend, thinks it's just a joke about a younger woman marrying a rich old man. Yeah, whatever. Well, who knows? So Kimmel's hateful, violent rhetoric is intended to divide our country. Yeah, the suspected shooter has been charged with attempting to assassinate Trump, along with other counts. Kimmel pushed back on the criticism, saying, I wasn't by any stretch or definition a call to assassination, and they know that. I don't know that. I think it was. I've been very vocal for many years, speaking out against gun violence. Oh, yeah. Sure you have. Yeah. Oh, look at that. A little rant. Thank you so much, Terry. Thank you so much, Terry. And that means we're $61 away right now, folks. Just $61 away from adding a first additional hour to the show. I want to thank everybody who's donated. You're very generous. Adam Carolla has a blind spot. Yes, he does, because they were dead, so long. Hates seeing girls with dead trees. Me too. Adam isn't gonna dump on Jimmy. Simple as loyalty is rare in Hollywood. Jimmy's gonna need friends when Trump leaves, and he's got no reason to live. Yeah. You're willing to learn? Yes. Well, no, thank you, Terry. Thank you very much. Mm-hmm. So they're under investigation for violations of the 1934 Communication Decency Act or something like that. So yeah, ABC early review. Okay. And then this story is like, oh geez, why are they doing this? The House advances a FISA extension and budget plan for ICE and Border Patrol and the Farm Bill. Disney lost a lot of subscribers. Well, that's what the word is, that they've been really getting hammered. So at the center of the debate is a 9-page proposal to renew the Section 702 Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act for 3 years. I don't know why we would do it at all after what they did, how they used it and abused it to go after people. I don't get it. I do not get it. I don't get it at all. At all. At all. At all. Atoll. So that's all. I don't know. I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't know why you would do any of this stuff. House of Representatives advanced bills on April 29th to extend surveillance authority. Hiss, hiss, boo. A budget blueprint to fund ICE and Border Patrol, and a farm bill. The procedural vote to advance the legislation passed 216 to 210, an important win for House Speaker Mike Johnson, who continues to navigate with a slim Republican majority. At the center of the debate is a 9-page proposal to renew Section 702. The provision allows intelligence agencies to conduct warrantless surveillance. Wait a minute. Warrantless surveillance? Why are Democrats going along with warrantless surveillance? They want you to get warrants to arrest illegal aliens, but they're fine with American citizens being spied upon without warrants? The bill does not include new warrant requirements, despite bipartisan calls for strict safeguards. A temporary extension was passed on April 17th is set to expire on April 30th. Under the bill, the Comptroller General would be required to submit a report within 1 year of the enactment to key congressional committees. This is just baloney. Oh, we're going to do a report. Someone's going to submit a report. And and it's going to these committees, and then we'll talk about it some more, and then we won't do anything. How about just get rid of it? Because here's the thing. They don't need a warrant to spy on people that aren't American citizens that are overseas. You know, they don't need a warrant to spy on people in other countries' conversations. There's no warrant necessary. So we don't need this to say we're going to foreign intelligence surveillance. You don't need a warrant to spy on those people. I don't get it. Look at this. We got another gifted membership from Brian Ogden. Thank you so much, Brian Ogden, for the gifted membership. That means that another person just became a member of the Jim Tells You, Jim Somniac's community. And you know who got that membership? Exile, the Knights of Malta Now. Choosy Chusenstein received a gifted membership. Wow, Choosy received a gifted membership. Choosy can no longer claim, Choosy got the membership, that's right, that YouTube is out to get him because he received the gifted membership. And with that, folks, we are now just $55 away. Cinco away. I don't think it's cinco. I think it's like siete cinco or something like that. I don't know what 55 is in Spanish. I know like once, donce, something like that. It's like 11, 12. I don't know. I don't speak of Spanish very well. The report would present the results of the audit assessing whether current targeting procedures appropriate limit surveillance. The legislation also explicitly prohibits the intentional targeting of U.S. citizens. Cinco de Mayo is your birthday. Mayo. Muyo. Lawmakers from both parties have advocated additional protections, particularly requiring warrants before assessing Americans' data. Who gave me the membership while I was admiring my lack of eyebrows? That would have been Brian Ogden gave you that membership. Yeah. Yes, because they put in the woke judges and don't fear their own involvement. That's right. The very act of spying assumes a certain illegal nature to it. The only point of FISA is to shield the government from liability for collateral damage to the innocent. That's true. No, eyebrows are mostly feckless. Okay, next Tuesday you can say happy birthday. Tuesday it was Brian's gift. Thank you, Brian. It says Donald Trump has pushed for a clean extension. Why? After what happened to you, Trump? I don't understand. Why? You were the victim of this. They used FISA to spy on your campaign. The Obama administration used FISA because they got the two-hop rule. So what that means is because they claimed illegally, they lied. Somebody lied and said that Carter Page was not a CIA asset. Instead, they said he was a Russian asset, even though he was spying for the CIA against Russia and giving the CIA information. They lied to get the warrant on Carter Page. And then they could also wiretap anyone who Carter Page spoke to and anybody those people spoke to. That's ridiculous. So they could basically monitor the entire Trump campaign because of the one person that they found, Carter Page, that they could lie about. It's all bread and circuses. It is. Trump has pointed to what he describes as past abuses, including their use during the Crossfire Hurricane investigation of his 2016 campaign. Yeah. But he says, it's important we maintain this, especially because of Iran. He said that military leaders view the authority as indispensable. I don't think the military leaders do. That's what Patriot Act does, not FISA. So he said, I've spoken to many generals, and they consider it vital. Who uses FISA? Isn't it just the FBI that uses FISA? Who else uses FISA courts? I mean, the only people something doesn't make sense about this. Somebody's lying to him. Alongside the surveillance debate, lawmakers also advanced a budget resolution that would allocate $70 billion to ICE and Border Patrol through January 20th of 2029. The Senate approved the framework August 23rd. So the funding discussion comes amid a partial shutdown of DHS. Demon rats have raised concerns about expanding their budgets without reform, such as requiring agents to show identification and avoid wearing masks. Like, the fucking demon rats, man. They just won't stop. They'll do anything they can to protect illegal aliens. They'll do anything they can to protect illegal aliens. It's ridiculous. It's dick-riculous. Senate Republicans previously passed a funding bill for DHS that excluded ICE and Border Patrol, but House Republicans rejected that approach. Instead, they approved a short-term measure to fund the entire department for 60 days. The House also moved forward with the latest version of the Farm Bill, a wide-ranging package that typically governs agriculture, nutritional, and conservation programs for about 5 years. I think, isn't the Farm Bill also like, I think the Farm Bill also includes like SNAP, like food stamps and stuff, I think. One amendment introduced by Representative Anna Paulina Luna would prevent states from setting pesticide labeling standards that differ from federal guidelines established by the EPA. Like, I don't know. I don't know about that. I do not know about that. I do not know about that. I do not know about that. This says Speaker Johnson is one step closer to renewing the controversial spy program after conservatives fall in line. They fell in line. Conservatives fell in line. Yeah, it's so ridiculous. Demon rats want a civil war. They will never stop pushing. They crave punishment escalation. They do not believe the FAFO doctrine. FAFO. They will never give up power. I'm sure the EPA thing is a response to crazy shit California's trying to do. Yeah, I'm sure it is. Lawmakers approved a test vote teeing up a 3-year extension. So yeah, we read all this, so don't really need to go there. All right. You guys heard about Comey being indicted yesterday, right? Florida is spraying legs, killing all life. Why? Are they? They shouldn't be doing that. They shouldn't be doing that at all. So former FBI Director James Comey is released after court appearance on Trump threat charges. Former FBI Director James the Communist Comey was released on Wednesday after his court appearance over an alleged threat he made against President Donald J. Trump. Sorry, Donald John Trump. Former FBI director was released on April 29th after his court appearance over the threat against President Trump. The judge ordered Comey be released and didn't list any special conditions. Patrick Fitzgerald, Comey's attorney, told the Epoch Times that he believes the case is a vindictive prosecution, that Comey is being punished for exercising his First Amendment rights. You don't have First Amendment rights to threaten to kill the president. You don't. Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche said on Wednesday that Trump didn't order the Department of Justice to file more charges against Comey. He's like, of course not. Absolutely, positively not. He told CBS Mornings when he asked about whether the president directed him to pursue new charges. This is something has been investigated for nearly a year now, and the results of the investigation is that a grand jury returned an indictment. Yeah. Yes, it's been this way since World War XI. It's terrible. Did he have to turn in his passport? It doesn't appear so. It appears like the judge basically just said, all right, have a nice day. Federal prosecutors charged Comey with 2 felony counts. So he got charged with 2 federal felonies, and he was just released, like, go have a nice day. But J6ers that were charged with fucking misdemeanors spent years in jail waiting for their cases to be heard. Wow. That's very interesting. Seems like we do live in a duopoly. Yeah, Groyper says indictments don't mean shit if there's no convictions. Well, this trial will be held in North Carolina, not in Virginia, not in D.C., not in New York, but North Carolina. So we'll have to see what happens. If they can prove their case, they'll get a conviction. If they can't prove their case, then they won't get a conviction. I mean, technically, if they didn't think they could get a conviction, you're not supposed to bring the charges. If you don't think you can get a conviction, if you don't think you can prove it, you know, you're not supposed to bring cases you know you're going to lose. Yeah. Yeah, he should be in solitary confinement for at least 12 months, just like all the J6ers. So Comey posted an image on Instagram featuring 8647, which authorities say is a reasonable person would interpret as a serious expression of intent to harm the president. They also allege Comey transmitted the message across state lines while consciously disregarding the risk that it would be viewed as a threat of violence toward another person. I mean, I think they're going to have evidence, more than likely, of his prior involvement in cases using similar language and that he knew what it meant. Probably mob cases when mob people said we're going to 86 this guy when they got rid of him. Yep. Comey denied he was calling for the assassination of Trump in his post that included an image of the seashells arranged to form 8647. He later deleted the post. Now, here's the thing. Come across state lines. Well, it's the crime is transmitting it across state lines that makes it a federal case if it's used with the wires across state lines. I don't know, man. I didn't write the laws. In common usage, 86 is slang for getting rid of or refusing something, a meaning traced to restaurant jargon and reflected in definitions from Merriam-Webster. Some dictionaries, including Collins Dictionary, also list a more severe interpretation in which the term can refer to killing or carrying out an execution. The number 47, meanwhile, meant to read as President Trump, who was serving as the nation's 47th president. I mean, there was a whole bunch of people back in Trump's first term, like Governor Gretchen Whitmer and Governor Kathy Hochul, who had videos taken with 8645 in them. So, yeah. Texas and OK says they can bring charges regardless of the strength of the case, but the losses stack up on the record. Bad stats look bad for your professional career. Yeah, they do. That they do. Anyone born in the 60s onward knows what 86ing someone means. Its first slang definition was a hole 6 feet long, 8 feet deep. Yeah. Well, I think it's 8 feet long, 6 feet deep. 86, 8 feet long, 6 feet deep, I think. Or maybe it's 6 feet long, 8 feet deep, but I thought 6 feet. Because it's like 6 foot under is like, maybe I'm wrong. She should, Brian, she's too embarrassed. She's gone on podcast. Oh, okay, never mind. Talk about something else. I still hear Maxine wail about 45, yeah. So it's a 2-count indictment presented to the interim U.S. Okay, so they did charge him with obstructing Congress and lying to Congress. 8 miles out of town, 6 feet under. Is that what it is? 8 miles out of town, 6 feet under? Oh, in Vegas? Okay. And then a judge throughout the case, which I don't know why. I don't know why they didn't appeal this to get those charges reinstated for lying to Congress. Like, that judge shouldn't have did that. Like, that's ridiculous. The judge claimed that it was an appointments clause violation that for the president to appoint Lindsey Halligan as the U.S. attorney. But the appointments clause gives the president the ability to appoint the people. It doesn't say anything in the appointments clauses about judges appointing people. Nowhere. That was some statute Congress came up with, which violates the Constitution. So this judge, Cameron McGowan Curie, dismissed the indictment, ruling that Halligan had been improperly appointed under federal law and the Constitution. No, she was properly appointed under the Constitution. The White House said it would appeal the judge's decision. However, the statute of limitations now passed for that charge. It wouldn't matter. It wouldn't matter if the statute of limitations passed. They need to appeal it because the charges were brought. It was dismissed by a judge. He's under, they can't just bypass it. Ilhan started an associate's degree in accounting. She should know the definition of net worth. Tillis claimed he searched to the ends of the internet and saw no evidence 86 meant to nick someone. What a stunad. Is that what Tom Tillis said? Why would Tom Tillis is a fucking idiot. Comey under arrest, surrenders to law enforcement at federal courthouse in Alexandria. See, well, why would he surrender himself in a courthouse in Alexandria? He was charged in North Carolina. Why wouldn't he have to go to North Carolina? So he went to some judge that he knew. The judge let him go with no restrictions. Yeah. The U.S. Marshals were asked to provide Comey with the indictment, and they issued an arrest warrant on Tuesday. Comey is facing up to 20 years in prison. SCOTUS created immunity for public servants. Talk about how that's not proper. Well, Tom Schillings, the Chicago weatherman. Tom Schilling, the weatherman, I think, if I'm not mistaken, his brother was part of Enron.
Well, Comey is in the courtroom, and the hearing is starting now. The very first appearance of this former FBI director accused of threatening the president's life with that post on Instagram a year ago with seashells in the sand. This is the first hearing that will happen in this courthouse, the Eastern District of Virginia. But this is a case that's charged in North Carolina because that's where that beach photo was taken. This first appearance, Comey now being under arrest in the courtroom. He's going to be before a
Wow. Before a magistrate judge is what she was going to say. You would think after 10 years in college she would know Roman numerals. You would think. You're talking about World War XI, lady. Yeah. Well, CNN has fallen on hard times with their reporters. That's all I'll say. That's all I'll say. Knowingly, willfully making a threat to take the life of the president. Yep. Comey lashed out at the Trump administration in a video message posted to his Substack. Well, they're back. This time about a picture of seashells on a North Carolina beach a year ago. And this won't be the end of it. Nothing has changed with me. I'm still innocent. No, you're not. No, you're not innocent. You should be in prison for like a number of things. The whole Russia collusion hoax, all that shit you did. Yeah. Leaking classified information, giving memos, leaking stuff, like all these things, lying to Congress. So I don't want to play. I don't want to hear him talk. So term 86 is commonly used to mean an item should be discarded or that service should be refused. It's a mob term for kill him, Trump said. Yeah. They say 86, the son of a gun. Yeah. Comey's a very dirty cop. Yeah. Comey's wife and his daughter at the courthouse. Yeah. Oh, he's got a trans daughter. Comey's daughter, Kate, and her husband leaving the U.S. District. So this guy here, Troy Edwards, the husband, was a fucking in the U.S. Attorney's Office in the Eastern District of Virginia. And that's why they were fucking around with all the stuff, delaying everything, bringing the charges, and screwing around. He has people all over that are related to him, protecting him. Are you threatening me? Who is trans? Oh, that daughter looked like a trans person right there. I don't know. Looked like it to me. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Okay. On to the next story. It seems
judgment against
it seems that appeals court will not hear Trump's challenge to the E. Jean Carroll verdict.
Today, upholding the $83 million judgment against President Trump for defaming E. Jean Carroll. The court today said that Trump, quote, failed to identify any grounds that would warrant reconsidering our prior holding on presidential immunity. Carroll won her case against him last year. The former magazine columnist said that he defamed her in 2019 when he denied sexually abusing her in a Manhattan department store.
How about appealing it because the lady's batshit insane and this stuff never happened? It was a railroad. Looks female to you? Oh, okay. I don't know. I thought it was, to me, it looked like a woman who was pretending to be a man. Like wanted to pretend to be a man. That's all. That's what it looked like to me. What's it say? YouTube what? YouTube what? YouTube what? What is that? Oh, Seahorse Party? Okay. That's interesting. The Raid. So a federal appeals court in New York on Wednesday rejected President Trump's request to rehear his challenges to the successful defamation claims. So we'll see. This probably should go. I don't know if the Supreme Court will take it, but this is just ridiculous. Your beer goggles say no. That's what I'm saying. Couldn't even say a ballpark what day it happened. Yes, it's ridiculous. She said it happened this year, and the dress she claimed she was wearing that she capped wasn't even out that year. So I don't get it. So they refused to rehear his challenges, and jury awarded $83 million in 2024 after she successfully argued that Trump defamed her with comments he made disputing her claims he sexually abused her in a Bergdorf Goodman dressing room in the 90s. Like, that's crazy. Where'd they get to 83 million? That's the thing, is how is it 83 million? The jury found that as a result of the comments, Carroll was harassed and humiliated, subject to death threats, and feared for her physical safety for years. Like, man, looked like Tiny Tim to me. Ooh, the hands were huge. That's what I thought. Trump, who's denied all wrongdoing, tried unsuccessfully to substitute the United States as the defendant to raise the claim of presidential immunity. In its decision Wednesday, the Second Circuit said both arguments were raised too late. PT Pod has rated the stream. Well, thank you, PT Pod. Thank you. PT Pod has rated the stream. Thank you so much, everybody. I mean, how about just the claims that she will slip up? I'm hoping so. I think this is you grok the origin of 86, and it's not what we thought. I don't know if I trust any of that stuff, like, because that could be manipulated. The fact of the matter that no other defendant would be permitted to move to substitute the United States in his place 15 months after trial and entry of judgment. Judge Denny Chin, the court appropriately denied to reconvene en banc to revisit the issue. So, a separate jury in an earlier trial awarded $5 million in damages after holding Trump liable for defamation and sex abuse. The Second Circuit previously rejected each of Trump's appellate efforts. I believe this was a case, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, right. I believe this was a case where the judge said, "Oh, we know you already did it, so we're just going to find," basically like they refused to let him put on a defense type of thing. It was just a matter of how much money. If I'm not mistaken, this was another, like they did to Alex Jones. You asked Grok what date Easter was. It gave you the wrong date. Yeah. Roberta Kaplan. Oh, that lawyer. That name might sound familiar. I challenge any woman here to file a report for essay and rape with such flimsy details and have it heard by a grand jury. Yeah. E. Jean Carroll's eager for justice. She wants her money. Yeah. She already planned on what she was going to do with the money, all the stuff she was going to buy. Yeah. Like USA Today says, next stop, Supreme Court. Probably. President Trump lost another appeal. Well, they didn't lose the appeal. They just refused to hear it en banc. That's not this, the way they say this and stuff. A federal appeals court based in New York refused Trump's request. Well, of course, because it's New York. New York federal jury awarded $5 million in 2023, and after concluding Trump sexually abused her in the 90s in a department store. What? When in the 90s? What date? Oh, they don't know. After that judgment, a separate jury awarded Carroll $83 million for defamation in 2 lengthy denials Trump made in 2019 when she first went public. That's the decision the full appeals court decided not to review. The move means Trump will now take his appeal to the Supreme Court. The American people stand with President Trump in demanding an immediate end to unlawful, radical weaponization of our justice system. That's right. For these hoaxes and false claims. As Grok or its peers, is it safe and it sees them get the reference? Hey, what's up, Catherine K? Great to see you. So Trump posted a bond of about $92 million in 2024 to block Carroll from pursuing his assets to collect the $83 million before his appeal runs its course. Well, that's the thing. It's not going to be. Anyway. So, I'm going to let everybody know there might not be a Theory Thursday tomorrow because I've been invited. I have to decide if I'm going to go. There's another show that wants me to come on as a guest that would interfere with Theory Thursday. So I have to decide if I want to do Theory Thursday, if I want to be a guest in this other show. I have to decide. I have to decide. Plus, the Theory Thursday, if there was going to be one, would probably be the late show anyway, tomorrow, later one. I have to decide. I don't know. I have to decide. I got to think about it. Oh, and then there was also oral arguments today. Joe, tomorrow? No, I'll be on a show with Joe. No. I'm going to be on a show with Joe later. Joe's show, it's usually like 10:30, 11 o'clock Eastern. I'll be on that show. But Theory Thursday would be at like 7 or 8 o'clock. Would be at like 7 or 8 o'clock. I have to decide. I'll figure it out. But either way, I guess I could stream it here too. If I do go on as a guest, I guess I could stream it here too to my show. So we'll see. If no matter what, there'll be a show tomorrow. There'll be 2 shows tomorrow. All right? There. No matter what, there'll be 2 shows tomorrow. Just haven't decided what time and what the shows will be about. No theory. So Justice Samuel Alito humiliates leftist lawyer with one brilliant question after he asserts that Trump ended TPS for migrants for racial reasons. It's like, what? Yeah. Like, they're trying to say, like, oh, they did this because they're racist. And so they're like, wait, what about all these people? Let's see, if they're actually going to have it on here? Oh, here we go.
Isn't it the case that TPS was terminated for quite a list of countries? I can't seem to find the particular page of the transcript where the district court goes through them all. And yes, none of those is a Nordic country. And I don't like dividing up the people of the world arbitrarily into 3 racial groups. But you say they're all non-white, and that's the distinguishing characteristic.
That is the distinguishing characteristic that the district court held. But I would emphasize, Justice Alito, that.
But do you think that if you put Syrians, Turks, Greeks, and other people who live around the Mediterranean in a lineup, do you think you could say those people are that all of them, are they all non-white?
I understand that Syrians, I think, may be classified as white for purposes of the State Department, or for under certain government, certain government programs. But again, I think race is, I think, you'd have to poll the public to know what they think the race of a Syrian is. I certainly think they're not white.
Poll the American people?
Well,
do they think Syrians are white?
I wouldn't think that most would, Justice Alito.
Really?
I really don't.
How about Turks?
I honestly haven't considered what racial component I would sort Turks into.
How about Greeks?
Oh.
I don't know the answer to that either.
How about Southern Italians?
Well, certainly 120 years ago, when we had our last wave of European immigration, Southern Italians were not considered white. So I think our concept of these things evolves over time.
How about Spaniards?
I think same answer. About 120 years ago, I don't think they were considered
You
white.
have a really large, you have a really broad definition of who's white and who's not white. As I said, I don't like dividing the people of the world into these groups.
I understand. I would say that even under this court's rationality jurisprudence, if you look at cases like Moreno, it is not necessary for us to get strict scrutiny to win here, because irrespective of how you do the classification at issue here, under those courts, under those decisions,
He's got a bigger problem is because the fucking statute that established TPS says it's not up for judicial review. That's the bigger problem. Talking about strict scrutiny. There's no fucking scrutiny here. It's not up for judicial review. You're just basically ignoring it. This is these fucking communists do.
Under those precedents, bare dislike of an unpopular group is a sufficient basis to find that rational basis is not even satisfied.
It's like fucking ridiculous, man. This case isn't this the case that TPS was terminated for quite a list of countries? Yeah. So it's just ridiculous. Just ridiculous. Just ridiculous. Just ridiculous. You know, Jackson Sotomayor grilled Trump's SCOTUS lawyer over shithole countries. So he called them shithole countries. Yeah, but all you Democrats, all you demon rats said they were great countries. Great countries. They were beautiful. They went there and took pictures. So just show the pictures of Conan O'Brien and Susan Sarandon and all the people that said Haiti was great. Then we don't need it, right? Don't tell me the theory that Carnation Revolution was on Thursday. I don't know. Don't tell me that Jim are the new Smothers Brothers. I don't know. So Trump's bashing of migrants from shithole countries and other fiery immigration rhetoric came back to haunt him. I don't, If I caught it, they tried to claim judicial review was barred on the decision, but not the actual deportation. Yeah, they try to claim some weird thing, which is not going to fly. Yeah, the three demons made it all about race. Yeah, they did. Don't Indians have cow shit parties? I mean, yeah. I mean, they think it's like, because they believe Indians are like gods, or not gods per se, or like gods, godlike something. So they feel that the poo is like rubbing part of the god on you or something. So, while considering the Trump administration's bid to yank temporary protected status for thousands of Syrians, first of all, they just didn't renew it. That's it. They didn't yank anything. Demon Rat appointed justices latch on to his hot rhetoric to imply the White House was being racist. Now we have the president saying at one point Haiti is filthy, dirty, disgusting shithole country. Liberal, Sotomayor said, I'm quoting him. He declared illegal immigrants, which he associated with TPS, as poisoning the blood of America. Okay. I don't see how one statement is not showing the discriminatory purpose may have played a part in the decision. Yeah. Roberta Kaplan was Andrew Cuomo's attorney but had to resign due to ethical complaints against her. Yeah. If Trump was only deporting people from Haiti, which were black, and not other individuals from other countries, then you could claim he was motivated by racism. It's insane. It's insane. Solicitor Sauer countered the statements when taken into context were referencing non-racial issues such as poverty, crime, welfare, and drugs. Ketanji Brown, I don't know what a woman is, Jackson says, what about poisoning the blood? What about bad genes? So the position in the United States that we have an actual racial epithet that we aren't allowed to look at all context to include a person's insistence that immigrants from certain countries, largely, if not almost exclusively countries of African immigrants, black African immigrants, are not allowed. Like, what? What are you fucking talking about? Look at those faces. Trump, in a rally in 2025, said he didn't want immigrants from shithole countries and defended a permanent pause on third world migration. It has nothing to do with racism to say we don't want people that are illiterate coming here. How about that? We just don't want stupid people coming. Yeah, they shit all over the white South Africans who came here because they were killing white farmers. Yeah, we get Africans in. At issue was a stay application against former Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem's decision last September to take away TPS for 6,000 Syrians and 350,000 Haitians. Like, they're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. Remember that? The move came in response to Trump's executive order calling for DHS Secretary to curtail TPS designations. It says over 1.3 million nationals across 17 countries were protected by TPS as of March of last year. Statutory law allows administrations to designate countries for TPS. Under TPS, a law that's been in effect since 1990, eligible migrants get temporary status and can seek work authorization for over a year and a half. Yeah, World War 12. Definitely World War 12. Yeah. Or importing gang violence. We have enough domestically. Supreme Court heard a consolidated case from two different lawsuits. Demon Rat justices did the bulk of the questioning on all sides. Yeah. They ate the geese from a local pond. Yeah. Republican appointed justice is comparatively less aggressive. And with Roberts and Coney Barrett, who has two adopted Haitian children, doing little to tip their hand. See, this is a problem. Amy Coney Barrett might go because she's got two adopted Haitian children. Like, she is a liberal. They absolutely were eating the pet geese and ducks from the pond. Yes, they were. It's not the Assad regime anymore, conservative Justice Brett Kavanaugh. The whole thing was the Assad regime after 53 years of complete repression and brutal treatment. It's gone. The attorney for the Syrian nationals acknowledged the dramatic change that took place, but contended the country's still dangerous. Oh. The lawyer for the Haitians argued that yanking TPS was preordained, driven the president's test for Haiti. No matter what criteria given the determination, he ripped the DHS review of TPS as a sham. If it is the case that TPS was terminated for quite a long list of countries, and you're saying they're all non-white, he acknowledged the State Department may have had programs to consider Haitians, Syrians white, but argued that the Trump administration was still discriminating. Meanwhile, Sauer argued that the statute behind TPS gave the administration the authority to determine whether to yank it or not, thereby precluding judicial review. Oh, look at all those seashells on this lady. I had a hypothetical to pull out a Ouija board, the secretary says. You know how I'm going to figure this out? Your view would be no judicial review of that claim. That's how Jackson. Yeah. The U.S. solicitor countered that an exception to his assertion that TPS determination is subject to review that the court would craft here would be something that a truck could be driven through. Supreme Court previously gave the Trump administration a go-ahead to yank TPS from 600,000 Venezuelans in the U.S. A decision in the consolidated Mullen Homeland Security Doe case is expected in the end of June. I mean, how about no TPS for nobody? None. You know, this just proves that the Dems are batshit crazy. Oh, I know it does. In Haiti, they eat cats at special dinners. Yeah, they think it's a delicacy. I think it's a delicacy. Oh, Chuck Schumer wore a giant bandage on his head. Oh, I wonder if he had the same thing happen to him that happened to Harry Reid. Yeah. Sotomayor suggests that DHS can't end temporary protected status because Trump called Haiti a shithole country. So, yeah, I don't think so. I don't think so. All right. I don't think so. I mean, maybe we don't want people from shithole countries here. No vacancy. That's right. Now the feral cats are all gone. So DeSantis's redistricting effort passes the Florida legislature. Ding, ding, ding. This is a good thing. I want everyone to know, even though it says on YouTube that whatchamacallit is over, that the goal is over. I always, no matter what, as long as the show is still going, if the money comes in, we will extend the show. So that's how it works. So the Dems were clapping for King George today. Yeah, isn't that odd that the Dems were all clapping and standing up for King George? And you know, there wasn't any No Kings protests today, none at all, even though there was an actual king running around in the U.S. So it says new congressional map could add 4 districts favorable to Republicans to add to the party's slim House majority. Well, it might not only be Florida, people. Might be other states too. The legislature passed a congressional redistricting proposal on April 29th. The Sunshine State's new map, which was passed by the State House and Senate after about a day and a half of reviews, is part of a coast-to-coast redistricting battle ahead of the high-stakes midterm. Florida's upper chamber debated the proposal for several hours, but ultimately passed it in a 21-17 vote. The lower chamber had advanced it to the Senate earlier in the day on an 82-28 vote. Oh, so shit, this happened, and this is done. It's a done deal. It passed both houses. So DeSantis signs it. That's it. It's done. I thought it just passed one. I didn't know it passed both. But see, that 21-17 vote, that's an issue because that means a bunch of fucking rhinos in the Senate voted against it. A bunch of fucking rhinos. Oh, Marjorie says rally time for 5. Thank you, Marjorie. Thank you so much. That means, folks, we are now just $50. We're halfway there. Just 50 away. Just 50 away from adding an extra hour to the show. Just saying. Thank you so much. Florida's new map could give Republicans 24 of the state's 28 houses. Dumb bitch in the bullhorn was screeching in the house during the vote. Yeah, she should have been removed. Oh, no. Oh, no. I bet. The new map would leave Tampa Bay without any demon rat districts. Good. That's politically motivated, said Democrat state senator said during the debate. Okay. Other demon rat state lawmakers have called the map a direct violation of their vows to represent the state in a hasty attempt to redraw districts. Oh, well. Oh, well. Maisie bowed to the king. Yeah. I can't vote for this bill. Oh. One state senator, Jason Pizarro, who has no party affiliation, agreed with the latter point and said he was unprepared to vote yes. Oh, so he has no party affiliation. That's weird. I have not been able to give proper treatment and deliberation. I can't speak to the great certainty that many people have spoken here today. The map would apply to the 2026 midterm in November, but is more likely to face challenges from demon rats and other groups. Yeah, I don't see how they're going to be able to challenge it. I really don't. Not after what the Supreme Court just said, and not after because it's already going into effect. That's it. We're just going to go, here's the map for redistricting. It's too close to the election. Go away. As the map passed the Florida House early on the 28th, one demon rat representative disrupted the proceedings, strutting up and down the center aisle, blasting a bullhorn. Oh, yes. Scott Presser ID'd PAs 2 and 3 were created at majority districts. Lawsuits needed. Yeah, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of stuff going on. The problem is that it's so late in the term, like we're April, May, like stuff has to happen before May's over. Otherwise, it's too late. Meanwhile, the Supreme Court issued its decision that deemed race-based districts to be unconstitutional. The Florida Senate took a recess to review the high court decision, with DeSantis also addressed. Called this 1 month ago, the Florida governor said about the Supreme Court. The decision implements a district in Florida, the legal infirmities of which have been corrected by the newly drawn and soon-to-be enacted map. The Supreme Court case was the reason the Florida legislature took up the redistricting efforts in a special session. DeSantis and other Republican state lawmakers also cited a sharp increase in population as the reason that new districts were necessary. Yeah, like Florida has added, like, it's 2026. Since 2020, since after, Florida got screwed out of at least one district in that census of 2020. The Biden administration admitted it. All right. But since then, enough people have come into Florida to add like 3 more districts to Florida. Like almost 1 million people a year have been moving into Florida in the last 5 years. A lot. Like that's 5 more districts. So the governor said the state's been unfairly represented since the 2020 census. He said Florida's political shift is becoming a Republican stronghold. DeSantis noted the Republican voters outnumber Democrats by about 1.5 million in the state. He also criticized the map used in Florida before the redistricting, arguing that maps drawn with racial considerations are unconstitutional. DeSantis said the Supreme Court decision invalidates a provision of the Florida Constitution that requires the use of race in redistricting, which reads in part, districts shall not be drawn with the intent or result of denying or abridging the equal opportunity of racial or language minorities to participate in the political process or to diminish their ability to elect representatives of their choice. Like, yeah, you can't do that. Yeah, and not all illegal immigrants. Yeah, that's the increases in Florida hasn't been illegal immigrants. Our new map makes good on my promise to conduct mid-decade redistricting, and it more fairly represents the makeup of Florida today. Florida's map was passed a week after Virginia lawmakers attempted to pass their own redistricting measure. After voters approved the map, a judge ruled it invalid and nullified the election results. Virginia Supreme Court denied a bid by the state attorney general to strike down the lower court's ruling. California and Texas have also undergone efforts to redraw districts before the midterms. She's absolutely a freaking lunatic. Yeah. I was hoping somebody would show the map. I didn't look. Oh, here it goes. Okay, so here's the map, the proposed map, the current map, and the proposed map. All right. So as you can see, like the district here on the current map does like this weird thing. That's where they're talking about the, But this is actually wrong because this is more than one district here. Like this down here, there's currently 8 Democrats. So there's like one district here by Tampa. There's 1 or 2 here by, I think there's 2 here up by Orlando. And then there's like 3 or 4 down here that they're just showing differently. They're not separating the number of districts. So this is a dumb picture. This is a dumb picture. All right. And then this story, this story says the Secret Service officer was hit by gunfire from the suspect at the correspondence dinner. So everyone keeps saying like, oh, it was friendly fire, stuff like that. According to NBC News, which I don't know if I believe NBC News. Like, I don't know why they would say this though if it wasn't true. Like, they would be the first ones to like try and blame it on, someone else. Blame it on, friendly fire because they hate cops and all that stuff. So you would think that would be a way for them to do that stuff. Investigators have determined the officer wasn't struck by friendly fire from another member of law enforcement, according to law enforcement officials familiar with the matter. So let's see, what is this here?
Tonight, the armed suspect, authorities say, rushed through a security checkpoint outside the White House Correspondents' Dinner and opened fire, is charged with attempting to assassinate President Trump.
The defendant making clear what his intent was.
Cole Tomas Allen appearing in federal court. The DOJ displaying photos of weapons they say he had, including a 12-gauge pump-action shotgun, pistol, and knives. Charging documents say he ran past a magnetometer firing a long gun. A Secret Service officer who was injured returned fire, but did not hit Allen, who was then detained in the lobby above the ballroom.
Law enforcement did not fail. They did exactly what they are trained to do.
But amid growing questions about how the president is protected, the White House saying they'll consider security changes. All of it after that alarming scene Saturday, with the dinner just beginning. You could hear the gunshots. Secret Service agents swarming the stage. Vice President Vance rushed out. The president piled on by agents, at first resistant to being hustled off stage.
I wanted to see what was going on. And by that time, we started to realize maybe it was a bad problem.
Mentalist Oz Perlman, set to perform, watched it happen, speaking to Tom tonight.
It was not like a subtle, like, let's go down slowly, Mr. President. It was them protecting him. And I think that's when the fear really hit me.
Inside the ballroom, mass confusion as attendees ducked under tables. We saw top officials hurried to safety, including the health secretary and the Speaker of the House.
It's still unclear exactly what happened, but it was a very serious security breach.
At this point, it's clear that the president has been evacuated from the ballroom, but not necessarily from the property at large.
This is the third attempt on President Trump's life in just 2 years, after he was shot in Butler, Pennsylvania. Weeks later, another assassination attempt by an armed suspect at the president's golf course.
Why do you think this keeps happening to you?
Well, you know, I've studied assassinations. The people that make the biggest impact, they're the ones that they go after.
Tonight, the White House blaming anti-Trump rhetoric.
The left-wing cult of hatred against the president and all of those who support him and work for him has gotten multiple people hurt and killed, and it almost did so again this weekend.
On Saturday, I asked the president about political violence.
Is that just the cost of doing business to do politics in America anymore?
Yeah, well,
what does that say about our country?
We're not the only country. Good question.
Will we turn that temperature down at this point?
Well, probably if I decided to just not do much, you know.
All right, Garrett joins us now live from the White House. Garrett, the president is talking about holding the dinner again, but in a different capacity. And the White House says maybe without the vice president?
Yeah, Tom, the White House may keep the VP at a separate location for continuity of government reasons if this dinner is rescheduled. There's been no decision made on that. The White House is also arguing that all this shows the need for a large, secure event space right here, the president's ballroom project. Tom?
Yeah, definitely.
Tonight, President.
Definitely. So, yeah, investigators believe that the man charged with attempted assassination shot a Secret Service officer who was wearing a ballistic vest, according to 3 officials. Investigators have determined that the Secret Service Uniform Division officer was not struck by friendly fire from another member of law enforcement. So that kind of rescheduled for. Oh, they're rescheduling the White House Correspondents' Dinner. So they're going to do it just a different day. They're going to, Authorities allege that he charged a checkpoint where Trump was attending a black tie event. What is this? Loading ad. What?
Oh, bad news, guys.
Cole was caught on video running with a shotgun and other weapons. Officials say the officer was hit on his vest and returned fire. The officer was taken to a hospital, was released over the weekend. Allen was charged with discharging a weapon, but has not been formally accused of assaulting a federal officer. Well, that would be something that would happen, right, if they know he did it. A law enforcement source said work continues analyzing his devices, including his desktop and laptop.
15 p.m., the President and First Lady arrived at the White House Correspondents' Dinner at Washington's Hilton Hotel. It's one of the biggest nights on D.C.'s social calendar, and a challenging one for security. Among the more than 2,300 attendees were a number of high-ranking officials, including the Vice President, 12 cabinet secretaries, and leaders of Congress.
Welcome to the 2026 White House Correspondents' Dinner.
At 8:34 p.m., one floor above the ballroom, security camera footage shows the suspect rushed through the security checkpoint. The checkpoint is equipped with a weapon-detecting magnetometer and guarded by several agents. They quickly drew their weapons and pursued the suspect. It would later be revealed that he was armed with a shotgun, handgun, and knives. 30 seconds later, back downstairs in the ballroom, several shots can be heard. But the president and others don't immediately react. 10 seconds after the first shots, the First Lady and guests appear to notice something is wrong. One agent moves to stand behind the president, while on the opposite side of the dais, several agents quickly evacuate Vice President Vance. Nearly 20 seconds after the first shots, as attendees hide beneath tables, agents crowd the president and begin pulling him off stage. President Trump falls to the ground before regaining his footing and is pulled from the ballroom roughly 30 seconds into the incident. Outside the ballroom, Speaker Mike Johnson is evacuated. Officers cross the stage and scan the crowd with weapons drawn, as Secret Service agents quickly fan out across the ballroom floor, climbing over chairs and tables as they make their way to administration officials.
Gunshots fired at the White House Correspondents' Center.
The room is packed, and the close arrangement of tables and chairs hindered agents trying to quickly evacuate administration officials. Deputy White House Chief of Staff Stephen Miller and his wife Katie Miller exit to the right side of the dais, while agents escort Health and Human Services Secretary RFK Jr. and his wife out of the opposite side of the room. 2 more agents secure Secretary of State Marco Rubio.
Well, I mean, they all had it. There's like a certain order this has to be done in. Like, they take people out in some kind of order, you know, and I don't know. I mean, like, they don't just try to get everybody all out at the same time. They would just be running into each other, the different protection teams. They have to do it like in certain steps and everything like that. So there's a reason why, you know, that they have to go in that order. Just saying.
Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth is then led to still another exit. In the minutes after the shooting, House Majority Whip Tom Emmer, U.S. Attorney Jeanine Pirro, and Small Business Administration Administrator Kelly Loeffler are escorted down a hallway of the hotel. They are then followed by Environmental Protection Agency Administrator Lee Zeldin. At 5 minutes to 9, video appears to show the suspect, covered by a foil blanket, lying on the ground, 1 floor above the ballroom. He would later be identified as Cole Tomas Allen, 31, from Torrance, California.
Our program is going to resume.
Just before 9 p.m., White House Correspondents Association President Weijia Zhang took to the podium announcing that the program would resume momentarily. But a half hour later, Trump posts on Truth Social, quote, law enforcement has requested that we leave the premises, noting, quote, the First Lady, plus the Vice President, and all cabinet members are in perfect condition. The president was evacuated from the building at 9:45 p.m. Between 9:30 and 10 p.m., several cabinet members, including Homeland Security Secretary Markwayne Mullin, Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy, and Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche, were still being evacuated. With word that the president had left, remaining attendees also departed. One Secret Service agent was struck by a bullet that hit his protective vest, but there were no other reported injuries from the evening.
Wow. So he's a teacher and engineer from Torrance, California. They included selfies Allen took in his hotel room Saturday night before the attack in a filing Wednesday. The photo showed him standing in front of the hotel mirror wearing black and red necktie, according to the filing. Showed the suspect wearing a small leather bag consistent with the appearance with the ammunition-filled bag later recovered from his person, along with a shoulder holster, a sheath knife, pliers, and wire cutters. Allen's alleged to have believed it was his duty to target the Trump administration officials. You were born in Torrance. Only time I was ever there, my mom worked at the hospital there as an RN. Pirro looked fabulous. The president was second on the list. No, I think what happened with the president was that somebody showed up. Like they if you look at the video, somebody got to Trump first, and then Trump was just sitting down and was like, what? And they ain't going to just grab him and yank him. They're going to be like, come on, sir, we got to go. And people got in front of him. There was a person standing in front of Trump, and they were doing stuff, and then they grabbed JD. The people came for JD, and then the people were already there with Trump, but they took JD off first because they told JD, and JD like, okay, let's go. Trump was like, what? What are you talking about? I want to see what's going on. I think that's what happened. You know, he's a one-time NASA intern, had described his intern as borderline genius and a gentle person. Oh, real gentle. He was real gentle. Like Mike Brown. Remember Mike Brown was the gentle giant? Remember Mike Brown? Mr. Gentile Giant? Yeah. Until the videos came out of him beating the store owner. His DNA was found on the gun and on the cop and everything. Yeah. Inside the car. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. And then the Federal Reserve decided to leave interest rates unchanged, even though 4 out of the 9 board members said, no, we have to lower rates. Yeah. 31, still lives with his parents. Beta! Yes. Too many cabinet members in one spot, just like State of the Union, just a little less security. Social Secret Service needs better. Yes, they do. Yeah, last survivor. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no, the last survivor was Chuck Grassley, the 92-year-old senator from Iowa.
The FOMC decided.
So here's Jerome Too Late Powell.
Today, the FOMC decided to leave our policy rate unchanged. We see the current stance of monetary policy as appropriate to promote progress toward our maximum employment and 2% inflation goals. Developments in the Middle East are contributing to a high level of uncertainty about the economic outlook, and we will remain attentive to risks to both sides of our dual mandate.
The fact that the Fed Reserve operates and these people think that they don't have any oversight from the executive branch is ridiculous. They are part of the executive branch. They need oversight. So the Federal Reserve left interest rates unchanged for a third straight policy meetings. The meeting marked the end of Fed Chairman Jerome Powell's tenure as central bank chief. Officials voted 8-4 to keep the benchmark Fed rates in the current target range of 3.5%. The recent indicators suggest the economic activity has been expanding at a solid pace. Job gains have remained low. Whatever. Board member Stephen Moran dissented and instead supported a quarter-point interest rate cut. Hey, what's up, DeFinch? How you doing? Great to see you here. The other three votes were Cleveland Fed President Ben Hammack, Dallas Fed President Lori Logan, Minneapolis Fed President Neil Kashkari. Although they supported maintaining the current target rate, they did not support the inclusion of an easing bias in the statement at this time. In recent years, there has been occasional spikes in dissenting votes, but it has been rare over the past 40 years for the Fed to complete a meeting with 4 dissents. The last time there were 4 opposing votes were in October 92, according to the data collected by the St. Louis Fed. Wow, and what happened in October 92? If you guys remember, it was a little thing. They screwed with the economy to make George H.W. Bush lose the election in November of 92. Yes. The Fed screwing around with rates is what caused Clinton to win, some people think. Looking ahead, traders do not expect the next rate action until later next year. Like what? Later next year? Yeah, and Trump is president, so they won't do anything that might make him look good. That's exactly right. Exactly right. It's a dangerous, slippery spot to be in, Chicago Fed President Austin Goolsbee said in a panel discussion. Yeah, Austin Goolsbee. Who is Austin Goolsbee? Oh, yeah, that was the fucking clown who was Obama's financial advisor. And somehow he's a Fed president. Wow. It was one of Obama's economic advisors. Wow. The longer this inflation disruption goes, the more likely there's appropriate rate cutting going to be put off. Like, the inflation was all under Biden. Higher energy prices sent March's headline inflation surging. It's just all gas. It's the only thing that is gas prices that are causing all this stuff. After coming in below economists' expectations last month, core inflation. So it's been under expectations all the time. They think it's going to hold steady at 2.6%. The next 2-day Fed meeting will take place in June, meaning policymakers will have several batches of employment and inflation figures available to them heading into the gathering. President Trump's nominee to replace Powell cleared a Senate hurdle hours before the Fed meeting. The GOP controlling the upper chamber, which is likely to be confirmed in a full Senate vote. Yeah, Tom Tillis, the fucking scumbag who refused to let the guy out of committee until Trump stopped investigating all the corruption that Jerome Powell was doing. You know, how can you spend over $2 billion refurbishing an existing 3-story building? Like, what? Yeah. Elizabeth Warren, the ranking member, lambasted Warsh and warned the threat of eroding the Fed's independence. The Fed is not supposed to be independent. You know, what is this from Yankee Free? Rumble, Savannah Hernandez attackers. Wrong chat, Yankee Free. Yeah, wrong chat. It says, living Yankee Free rated to stream. Beyond the Noise rated to stream. Well, thank you, guys. Thank you. You thought it hit 3 billion? Yeah. Thank you, Beyond the Noise. Yeah. But Powell will not be retiring. No, he's saying he's going to stay, which I think he's going to be fired. I mean, this is going to, like, that whole thing with Lisa DeCrook, she's got to go too. The one that did the mortgage fraud, and she works at the Fed. Like, that's something, SCOTUS should already came down with that ruling. She should already been told to go. Thank you, everybody that rated over there on the Rumbles. It's greatly appreciated. So, greatly appreciated. It's so hard to grow on Rumble. It really is. It's like been rough trying to grow. What's up, Duct Tape? What's up, Crazy Dude? How you doing? What's up, Weekend Jew? Hey, Public Sentinel, how you doing? She is DeCrook. Yeah, that's her name, Lisa DeCrook. That's her name. She got to go. A vote today by this committee to advance Mr. Warsh will bring the president one step closer to complete his illegal attempt to seize control of. What is this fucking idiot saying? This is so ridiculous. Like, so, although his term as Fed chairman expires next month, Paul will still have a seat on the board until 2028 unless he resigns. Not if Trump removes him. Like, by getting a new Fed chair in there, they could start exposing all the fraud that was going on with this shit with the money, and his lies to Congress could just come flying out, and then he could get arrested. Just saying that could happen. The Inspector General for the Federal Reserve will be investigating the cost overruns of the Fed headquarters. The construction project is about $600 million over budget. Like, I don't even understand how. Hamburger Helper, what's up, buddy? Great to see you. I don't even understand how you could spend $600 million on a renovations of an existing building. I don't understand it. It's unclear that the probe is truly officially over as it was passed off the Inspector General, said Jay Woods, chief market strategist at Freedom Capital. That will lead to questions for Powell as to whether he stays on as a Fed governor and voting member. Prediction markers suggest Powell will remain on as Fed governor for a short time. Zeldin went before the Appropriation Committee yesterday with a budget approximately half of last year's, and the idiots tried and failed to disparage him. Yeah, I saw some of that stuff. Some of the clips, they were pretty funny. It was that blue-haired crazy lady. I can't think of her name. That blue-haired old lady. Like, she was saying stuff like, "You deny climate change. Let me get my broom to ride it on." Let me find it, actually, now that I think about it. Yeah. Yeah, here it is. This is funny. We'll play this real quick. There we go. We'll play this real quick. This is funny. I think it's real funny. There's this crazy blue-haired lady.
Climate change is flooding our streets, poisoning our air, driving up healthcare and disaster costs. How can the EPA justify abandoning that duty to protect?
Okay. Climate change is flooding our streets and poisoning the air. I think you're talking about fentanyl and drugs, and illegal immigration is flooding our streets and poisoning us and killing us. Yeah, it's a bit odd that 600 million is a bit more than the ballroom, yet nobody's yelling about that one. Yeah, and the ballroom is not being paid for with tax dollars. It's privately funded. But now Congress is trying to step in actually to say, like, oh, actually, we should get this done and we should pay for it. It's like, what? Congress wants to pay for the ballroom now? Say what? What you talking about, Billis? That's crazy. That's just crazy. I think it's just nuts. Let's go back.
Americans to appease polluters under the false flag of economic growth.
Following the law, Section 202 of the Clean Air Act, where does it say anything about fighting global climate change? Loper Bright, Supreme Court case, you familiar with it?
No, maybe others are not, but let me ask
But that's really important. As a member of Congress, Loper Bright says that we as an agency don't have the authority to get creative if Section 202 of the Clean Air Act.
No, but you don't have, excuse me, you do not have the right to say climate change does not exist, that it's a hoax, and that's...
You don't have the right. She just said you don't have the right to say climate change doesn't exist and it's a hoax. This is somebody in Congress that says you don't have a right to say that. It's a Marxist indoctrinator. It is. I'm going to back that up because she just said you don't have a right to say climate change doesn't exist.
Not have the right to say climate change does not exist. No, but you don't have, excuse me, you do not have the right to say climate change does not exist.
You don't have the right to say climate change doesn't exist. Really? I thought the First Amendment gave everybody the right to say climate change doesn't exist if they want to. I mean, say what? This is a person passing laws? This is a person in charge of deciding what's constitutional or not when they pass laws? Like, she doesn't even understand that they're barred from this crap. That's not what the EPA is supposed to do. Purple hair is a pollutant. Yeah, her brain was poisoned. Clearly.
You do not have the right to say climate change does not exist, that it's a hoax, and that's where this administration is coming from.
I understand you're upset that you don't know what Loper Bright is. Do you know what the major policies doctrine is?
I'm upset because...
You know what the major policies doctrine is?
You know what, let me just
You're a
say
member
this
of
to
Congress. You should know.
Well, you have moved from someone who defended the environment to all of a sudden...
I'm very defensive about not knowing the two biggest landmark Supreme Court cases of the last year with regards to your question.
You are very defensive about changing your policy and your positions with regard to the environment.
Yes.
Now,
Thank you for rating over.
Want me to tell
Thank
you
you.
what the two biggest Supreme Court cases are of the last few years?
This is what I want you
Michigan
to tell
versus
me.
EPA.
Whoa.
West Virginia versus EPA.
You know, you're here because you need money from us. So halt for the second and wait for the questions.
First of all, you dumb twat. It's not your money. It's our money, the American citizens, our tax dollars. It's not your money. It's not your money. It's our money. Our money pays your salary.
And answer the question.
Well, I answered your question,
No, you
and you didn't like my answer
You
because
did
you
not
don't know what
answer the
Loper Bright is,
question.
because you don't know what the major policies doctrine is,
Chairman,
because you're asking me about Section 202 of the Clean Air Act, and you don't read it. You don't know what it says.
Listen, and what you want to do is to deny. You want.
No, I actually read the law. I do my homework.
You want to deny climate change.
You're just somebody who likes to have the microphone on. You know what I have to do? I read the law.
No,
I
Mr.
read the
Chairman,
Supreme Court
I don't have to listen
cases.
to this, and I would say
No,
this,
we should do.
I don't have to listen to this. Oh, he doesn't ever. You have a right to not listen. I guess you do. You could just go la 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 la. Plug your ears.
For your constituents is actually read statute.
The budget is at real risk.
Read
Let
your
me tell
Supreme
you,
Court.
This is the Appropriations Committee.
Oh,
you come here.
You care
and
about
you
science?
tell
Now
us-
you're threatening to defund it?
Oh my God! No, you don't fund
Because
science.
you don't know what Loper Bright is.
climate
Because you don't know what the
deniers.
major policies
You are
doctrine is.
climate
Your message
deniers.
to our folks at the EPA is that you want to
I don't
defund
have
us.
to listen to this BS.
The BS.
The BS. Whoa.
You think I made up these cases?
Yeah, I think you have made up a
I
whole
made
lot of
I made
BS.
up Loper Bright. I made up West Virginia versus EPA. I made up Michigan versus EPA.
Woe is right. What are you doing? Why
Wait,
are you helping
whoa.
polluters?
Why are you helping polluters? They think, these crazy people think, when you exhale, you are polluting the atmosphere. These deranged people don't understand that carbon dioxide, what we exhale, we inhale oxygen. We need oxygen to live. We exhale carbon dioxide. That all plant life on the planet needs carbon dioxide to live. The more carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, the bigger plants grow, the more they produce, the greener the planet is. The lower the carbon dioxide is in the atmosphere, the harder it is for plants to grow. The smaller they grow, they don't grow bigger, Back when, if you ever been to California and seen the redwoods, the giant redwoods in California, do you know how they grew that tall? How they got that big? It's because the atmosphere had way more carbon dioxide in it that back then when those trees were growing and got so big. Like, it's insane. Like, the trees can't get that big anymore because we don't have enough carbon dioxide. We are actually, the guy who started Greenpeace has done a study. The guy who started Greenpeace, all right? And I think it was also another guy with Sierra Club. Like, these guys who founded these things are like, this is crazy what they're trying to do. They're trying to cut carbon dioxide, which if you cut carbon dioxide, you get to a point where plant life just dies. General Sherman's tree. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Dinosaur fauna was huge. That's what I'm saying. It's crazy. Like, they don't know. 83-year-olds. Imagine the mental acuity of our voters. Yeah. 83-year-olds, time to go. But see, that's the thing is a lot of these people that vote, they don't even pay attention. They just look and they go, oh, it says D. Vote D. And I blame people that vote Republican the same way, too. They don't care. They're like, oh, whatever. It's a Republican. No, you have to know how these people are. And when this is how they act, this is how they respond, this is what they do, get them out, man. Get them out of office. That's why we hate Dems in Connecticut. Oh, well, they're demon rats. She has been in the U.S. House of Representatives since January 3rd, 91, representing Connecticut's 3rd Congressional District. Yeah, it's a long time. It's a long time. Maybe it's time she should mosey on off to retirement. Yes, the tree, plant, and human relationship is symbiotic. Yes, it is. All mammals, mammals, basically. It's symbiotic with the plants. We put out carbon dioxide. Plants eat the carbon dioxide, put out oxygen. Same thing with plant life in the ocean. It puts out oxygen, oxygenates the water and stuff. Plant life in the ocean. She's a kinetic cunt. Oh, I didn't know that's a specific word for it. Now I know. Knowing's half the battle. G.I. Joe. What's going on here? All right. And then we got this story here that says the Iran war has cost $25 billion in the first 2 months, according to the Pentagon. Mother Nature will always find a new level and balance. Well, yeah, because it'll just shrug something off and get rid of it if it can't. That's how it works. So, acting War Department Comptroller Jules Herz said U.S. expended weapons accounted for most of the cost.
Not yet received from the Pentagon the costs of the war. So just for the record, we'd like to get that as soon as possible. Certainly the munitions expended, but also underreported is we've had a fair amount of equipment destroyed, including 2 C-130s with the rescue of our downed airmen. So do you have either A, a cost estimate coming to us anytime soon, or B, a specific supplemental request?
Thank you for that question. So approximately at this day, we're spending about $25 billion on Operation Epic Fury. Most of that is in munitions. There's part of that it's obviously O&M and equipment replacement. We will formulate a supplemental through the White House that will come to Congress once we have a full assessment of the cost of the conflict.
So you're saying the full cost at this point is $25 billion?
Yeah, that's our estimate for the cost.
Okay. Interesting, because I'm glad you answered that question, because we've been asking for a hell of a long time and no one's given us the number. So if you could get those details.
So they want like a daily update. How many bullets did like Democrats, demon rats are all of a sudden concerned about what stuff costs. They aren't concerned about it when Biden gave away $2 billion or $1 trillion with the Green New scam that they did when they were shoveling the money off $1 billion for fucking $1 billion for Stacey Abrams and a couple $1 billion up in Michigan for Granholm and her buddies and all the money they just passed out for all this crap. They didn't care about it then, but now they care about money and they want every day to get a report on how many bullets were fired, how many missiles. Tell us what everything costs. Tell us what everything costs. I mean, it's such hypocritical, such nonsense. No one asked if any of that cost was getting a repayment from allies or Israel. I think, from what I've heard, that some of them, or the money going to Ukraine to get laundered. Yeah, nobody cared about that. Yeah, Doge stopped the Abrams money. Yeah, we were spending money on tanks that I don't know if we really need the tanks. Do we need those tanks? I mean, I don't know. It's crazy. Her office is across the hall from the Connecticut Communist Party. Same building, same floor. Yeah, I'm sure she's a communist. She's just pretending she's not. So combat operations against Iran have cost the U.S. military about $25 billion in 2 months. The hearing marked the first time Secretary of War and the Chairman of Joint Chiefs have testified publicly to Congress since the war started. Their forces have exchanged fire for about 5.5 weeks. Rep. Adam Smith from Washington, so another commie. Cartels going down, no money for trolls. Yeah, well. So he wants the Pentagon to account for all the costs for munitions expended. So every bullet, they want to know. Every bullet. Yeah. The military is the only part of our government that the demon rats want to bitch about. And yes, we need tanks. Don't we have a bunch of... I thought we had a whole bunch. I don't know. I know they're still trying to keep them up and running because they need to build stuff, which I understand. You got to replace the barrels. But I think don't the barrels for the tanks come from Rheinmetall? I figure if I'm going to turn you black, I might as well also give you a follow. Oh, okay. Why would you turn me black? Oh, are you the one, Finboy? Are you the one that did the picture of me? I asked for someone to send me that picture. I want that picture because the only one I got is, I can show you the one I got. You're the one that did that? If I edit my avatar, this is the one that Cynic and them guys made for me to make me black. See? Which I just think, I think I look more like a Puerto Rican or something in this picture. But I don't know. The other one was funny with the glass. It was basically me with the shirt and everything. Sean's you in Sean's Discord, I sent you. No, I'm not in Sean's Discord. I don't think I'm in Sean's Discord. Take my money. I was traumatized by the TV movie the day after. Yeah, I know. I'm not in Sean's Discord. You can send it to me on X though, if you want. So they want to know the cost of the equipment destroyed and everything. Oh, we lost a plane. How much did that plane cost? It's like, what? I guess we got to stop the war. Oh, we lost a plane. We got to give it up. Look like Vinny 2 times. Yeah. Jules Hurst, the acting War Department controller, estimated the cost at about $25 billion. He said the munitions. Hi, Frisky Kitty. He said the munitions accounted for most of it, but also factored in operation and maintenance costs. The Trump administration has been working on submitting a supplemental funding request to Congress. We stopped making new takes over 15 years ago. The M1A3 may reopen hull production, and the gun is a special mod license built Rheinmetall. That's what I thought. It was built by Rheinmetall. You don't exist on any social media, but I'll make sure it reaches you. Yeah, if you could get it to, you could get it to Sean, and he could just send it to me on X. GGRF, 20 billion, Zeldin terminated the Green Deal. Yeah. Here, kitty, kitty, kitty. Come here. Cats do not come when you call them. We will formulate a supplemental through the White House that will come to Congress. The Pentagon's already seeking $1.5 trillion military defense spending, which is a lot of money, for the fiscal year 2027. 42% increase over 2026 spending. It's a lot of money. Do not knock, Frixie, do not knock over the lamp. She's over here rubbing herself on my ring light stand. Like, among other items, Trump's budget request seeks $52 billion to boost procurement for 12 weapon systems. Here, kitty, kitty. She ran away again. Including the Patriot and the THAAD system, terminal high altitude defense. They also want more joint air-to-surface standoff missiles. Beyond the immediate material costs to replace weapons and equipment, the Iran war has disrupted global oil and gas flows. Well, we know that. Yeah, no, cats do whatever they want to. I know she's over here rubbing on the thing, and I said, come here, and then she just turns around and runs the other way. It's just crazy. So, and this CBS says Iran war cost $25 billion to date, and Hexas faces question about war strategy. It's like, wait, what? I want to get to this. So questions that focus the Pentagon's efforts to ramp up production of critical munitions and ships to deter threats like China. Guns are Rheinmetall-based design, but manufactured by a U.S. company. Oh, okay. All right. If you love your kitty, set it free. If it comes back, it's a miracle. Yeah. Demon rats have so far questioned the Trump administration's overall Iran strategy regarding Iran. So they've questioned the Trump administration's overall Iran strategy regarding Iran. So why wouldn't they question their Iran strategy regarding Timbuktu? This has got to be AI written. Now that talks seem to stall. Adam Smith, the ranking member, said President Trump's remarks earlier this month that Iran had agreed to give up everything, including its nuclear program and its hold on the strait, have not borne out. Fletcher Boy says, Jim, I stopped in to tell you Al Gore said we don't have to worry about global warming because we're heading into an ice age. Well, I'm old enough to remember when that was what they said back in the late 70s, early 80s. They were telling everybody, there was a whole thing. Mr. Spock, Leonard Nimoy did a whole thing on either like National Geographic or Nature or something like that, a whole documentary about how we're heading for a new ice age. Yeah. So wish fulfillment is not a real strategy. What we need to hear today is what's going to work. Hexus's opening remarks said he expected questions on Iran and criticized Congress, telling the committee the biggest adversary we face at this point are the reckless, feckless, and defeatist words of congressional demon rats and some Republicans 2 months in. He said his generation remembers how long the conflicts in Iraq and Afghanistan lasted. In Iraq and Afghanistan. And just 2 months into an existential fight for the safety of the American people. Yeah, it's crazy. So it's 4 to 6 weeks. Senator Chris Coons expressed doubt that the war has only cost $25 billion. I'm frankly certain that is low. Saying like, it's the cost of just deploying and holding forces in theaters for 2 months and other expenses. Like, well, you can't take the salaries of the soldiers because they get paid no matter what. The salaries are the salaries. The cost of operating the ships operate all the time anyway. So, I mean, you can't, global cooling, acid rain, global warming, how they lump it all together under climate change. Well, yeah, because they knew they can't trick people. The one that scared you was acid rain. Acid rain running down your brain. Acid rain. It may be that it's $25 billion in munitions that have been dropped, but that's not the total cost of the war by any understanding. Oh, the chairman of the committee, GOP Rep Mike Rogers, in his opening remarks, noted that global munitions stockpiles are low and we lack the capacity to rapidly restock magazine depth. Well, that sounds like a Congress problem, not a military problem, because Congress is in charge of the purse. So if they haven't been spending the proper money to have a good stock of supply, I mean, think about this. We spent 2 months fighting in Iran, and now we're running out of bullets. What if we went to war with China? China went to war with us. What if we got attacked? We'd be able to fight for a couple weeks and then have to just give in because we don't have any way to make more bombs and stuff. I mean, what is going on? We're supposed to have enough to go for years. For years. Anyways, I guess I reckon that it looks like maybe some people went live, and we can wrap this up and send over a raid to those peoples. Since we've gone for 3 hours, and even though we didn't have to go. Yeah, see Ukraine and the global war on terror. Well, that's what I'm saying, but they should have been restocking that stuff. We should have been restocking as we were going, what we were using in GWAT, what we were using in Afghanistan, all that stuff, what we've given to our Ukraine. We shouldn't have given anything to Ukraine that we couldn't replace. I mean, this has been going on for years, and we should have been replacing this stuff at a rapid clip. There she is. There's the frisky girl. There she is. Frisky, frisky, frisky. Frisky, frisky, frisky. There she is. Look. Frisky, kitty, 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 kitty. Yeah, she jumped right out of my lap. So, yeah, let's see. We'll finish this story up, and then we'll send you all over to Joe, who is live. Joe is live. Joe is live. Joe is live. Live, live, live. Joe is live. Dun, 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 Joe is live. Dun, 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 Joe is live. So, yeah, so Hegseth outlined efforts to encourage industry to ramp up production, saying Defense Department identified 14 critical munitions, Patriot THAADs, as well as SM-3s, SM-6s, AMRAAMs, JASSMs, and PRSMs. Oh, the cat is Masonic, yeah. A lot of people didn't realize we were running low on small arms under Obama, dangerously low. Yeah. All right. Oh, Pat says, good night, Frisky. Bella, later, friends. All right. Biden spent the defense budget on sex change for service members. Yeah. And then this says, this is from the Canadian News. It says, cover of Time magazine, you think 78? Yeah, I know. There was a whole thing. They did like a whole documentary, though, about it. You can find the documentary if you look for it. Leonard Nimoy. Hegseth accused of lying to the American public about the war in Iran during 10th congressional hearing. Secretary faced withering questioning from skeptical demon rats. While Republicans focused on the details of the budgeting and voiced support for the operation, demon rats quickly pivoted to the ballooning costs of the war. Yeah, $25 billion is a ballooning cost. Really? $25 billion is a ballooning cost? What about the ballooning cost of the Federal Reserve that you guys are fine with? You want to say that? What about that? What about that's been costing like $2 billion, $600 million over? Why don't you focus on that? In one exchange, Adam Smith asserted that Iran's nuclear facilities were obliterated, prompting Smith to question the administration's reasoning for starting the Iran war, because they said they weren't going to give it up. They said they weren't going to give it up. Not given up on Iran has not given up on their nuclear ambitions and still had thousands of missiles. They left us exactly the same place we were before. If they think it's exactly the same place we were before, these people, hey, what's up, Greeley? Thanks for being here. Lisa, what's up? Yay, what's going on? Oh, so this...
We had to start this war, you just said, 60 days ago, because the nuclear weapon was an imminent threat. Now you're saying that it was completely obliterated?
They had not given up their nuclear ambitions, and they had a conventional shield of thousands of missiles.
So Operation Midnight Hammer accomplished nothing of substance. It left us at exactly the same place we were before. So much so that
their facilities were bombed and obliterated. Their ambitions continued, and they're building a conventional shield.
Let me try again.
It's the North Korea strategy. You know this very well. The North Korea strategy was use conventional missiles to prevent anybody from challenging them, so they could slow walk their way to a weapon. President Trump saw Iran at its weakest moment, took an action to ensure, in a way that only the United States of America could do with our Israeli partners,
and yet
to ensure their conventional shield was brought to the which we've done.
Yeah. So there's that. So anyway, there was something I was going to talk about, but I don't think we're going to do it because we've already gone over 3 hours. So we got a free hour tonight for everybody. I hope you're all happy. There was some stuff, but I'm going to send everybody over to Joe. Tomorrow night, there will be a show, maybe 7, 8 o'clock, and then the show with Joe afterwards. So I'm going to thank everybody who's here. Cake Eating Dragon says we had a World War Act this day that just gives people citizenship. They don't even apply. They just get it. Yeah, I'm going to thank everybody who's here. Please remember, please hit the like button if you haven't already. Please subscribe if you haven't subscribed. And tell your friends, tell your friends, leave a comment, tell your friends about the show. Share it out there. And come on back tomorrow for Jim to tell